Hello, good evening, and welcome back to Dash 28 Live. I am your host, Mike Adkins, and this evening we are bringing you the first round matchups from the 2023 Nerdhammer GT coming up this weekend in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We have, I think, 48 players, or 58 players? 58 players. We got 24 tables, 58 players. Does that sound right? No.
That sounds right.
I'm close. Anyway, we have a lot of players. There's a lot of people coming. I cannot math. I've been mathing all day. All my maths have been taken for the day. Try again tomorrow. So joining me, we got Justin Berg and Brad Park. Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Hello.
Ray Shields will be along shortly. We're not going to wait for Ray because he told us he was going to be a little late to go ahead and get started without him. So that's what we're going to do. But we do have some quick announcements and some summary statistics about the Army composition that we're gonna kibitz about for a few minutes before we roll into the first matchup. First, as always, I would like to remind everyone that this is purely for entertainment value. What we're doing here, we're announcing the pairings, we're announcing the lists, and no one should take our opinions on any of this too terribly seriously. Don't take any of it personally. We might poke some fun at some folks here and there, but it's all in good fun, and we're all friends here, and we're just having a good time with this. So take everything we say with a grain of salt, because the predictions are usually not terribly much more accurate than a coin flip anyway. Usually, like, the person that wins gets maybe 60 or 70 at best % of the guesses correct. So we're here talking about stuff and making educated guesses, but it is a game based on dice. So anything can still happen. And that said, let's talk about what's going to be going on at Nerdhammer this weekend. So they're doing a couple of interesting things, which we'll talk about here in a minute when we get to the first round map and first round scenario. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the armies that we're going to be seeing. First, we have a total of 20 armies represented, and I pulled up the same numbers that I did for Mountaineer back in August. And we had 18 armies represented at Mountaineer with about 40 players. So we've got 20 armies, so a couple more armies represented here with a slightly bigger field. Dwarfs and Green Lady clearly out in the lead as the most played factions. No surprises there. Also, getting a little further down, Forces of Nature still strong. Goblins popping up a bit. A few more goblins than we usually see. Night Stalkers always popular. They've got an updated list, so not really surprising seeing them coming in strong with 4 players there. Northern Alliance, Salamanders, and Twilight Kin. Of course, Northern Alliance and Twilight Kin have gotten an update ahead of the Clash of Kings book, so no surprise to see them being played. And Salamanders remain pretty popular. And then the rest of them are just sort of the ones you expect to see filling out the field at a Mid-Atlantic tournament. Sort of, the armies you kind of always see. Interestingly, no Varangur. We usually at least have a couple of Varangur. But I guess they're all playing Northern Alliance now.
Or Reckon, right?
Or possibly Reckon.
Or not traveling.
Or they're not traveling. Oh, hey, Jeremy. What's going on? And then in terms of like list composition, drops and average unit strength are basically right in line with where they were at Mountaineer. 14 drops is still the average. The minimum max are still 11 and 24, exactly what they were at Mountaineer. Average unit strength is up a smidge. It was 23 at Mountaineer, and it's 24 here, because the min and max have gone up some. The min is up to 16. It was 15, so we're taking a little bit more unit strength. But the max is way up at 36, and we'll see why that is when we get to table 1. It'll be no mystery what's pulling up the average.
Can I take one guess?
You sure can.
Is it John Helbig?
No.
It is not. Yeah. No.
Damn it.
No, it is not John Helbig. But that is not a bad guess because he's also up there. So with that covered, that's just sort of the general state of the meta. Again, I don't think there's anything too terribly surprising here. Dwarfs have been super popular and they're still super solid. Green Lady, very popular Alpha Strike army, and we love our Alpha Strike armies here in the Mid-Atlantic. And then the others are just, solid lists that have been performing well all year or have recent rules updates. So I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on that, or have I beaten the horse enough?
I'm excited to actually see a halfling army because I don't think I've seen one in the Northeast or the Mid-Atlantic in any of the events I've been.
Usually you only see it when like Felix comes over from Ohio
Right.
and brings it.
I don't have anything. I also don't know what the lists are. So it's the actual faction
Sure.
spread looks pretty representative of what I've seen prior. It doesn't seem like there's any crazy deviations from before. I do like all the factions represented at one though. Like all the unique guys kind of carrying themselves through the room.
Yep. One thing I did note, and I can't remember if I already said this or not. I feel like I was talking to Justin about this earlier. There were 5 ogre armies at Mountaineer, and they've dropped down to 2. So lots of the ogre players have opted to take something else out this time.
No Sylvankin either, like at Mountaineer or here, or you don't.
I think we had
Mark was playing Sylvankin in
Okay.
Mountaineer at least.
There were 2. There were 2 Sylvankin at Mountaineer, and they have gone the way of the dodo. It seems. Fewer Abyssal Dwarves too. There were three Abyssal Dwarf armies at Mountaineer, and now we're down to 1. So yeah, a little bit of moving around, but like the main big popular well represented armies are kind of still the same and are not surprising. Twilightkin, obviously, I think there were no Twilightkin being played at Mountaineer because the list was kind of not official. So I expected there to be at least a couple. 3 seems like a pretty good number for people bringing it out to experiment. So we'll see how they do. I'm pretty sure. Well, when they get there, some guy named Corey from another region brought it.
And this Allen guy too.
List.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll do fine with it. So let's talk about round 1. What's going to be happening? So they're trying something kind of interesting and kind of different here at Mountaineer not Mountaineer, sorry, at Nerdhammer this year. Each round there's going to be 2 scenarios and 2 maps for each table to decide between. And I think they're basically doing it as like one player gets to pick the scenario and the other player gets to pick the map. So kind of a little bit like how we do it at up at Crossroads. So for round 1, it always comes down to when we're doing these broadcasts, people say like, well, it kind of depends on the terrain and it kind of depends on the scenario. We've tried to get around that on these broadcasts by having the scenario and the map available. But here we have another little curve in that it kind of depends on which scenario, invade or pillage, that they're going to play, or maybe which map they're playing on. So they're here. Everybody take a peek at it. Think about it now, because I'm sure when we go through, we'll hit that point in when we're trying to pick winners as like, well, it depends on which of those 2 scenarios they're playing. So if this guy wins the roll off and gets to pick the scenario, then he's definitely going to do better because his army's really good at invade versus pillage or whatever. So we're kind of back in a little bit of uncertain territory in terms of exactly what game they're going to be playing in round 1. But it should make it interesting. Should add a little more drama to the start of the round. You guys have any thoughts on the scenarios or the maps before we move on?
The process itself, I find really good for single list games, right? The ability to have some control over what your list is trying to do or the matchup you're going to be going into is huge. I really like the system. I hope this I hope there's either small tweaks to this to put it into a final spot, or if this is the final iteration of this, I hope this catches on to other events.
Yeah, I like it. It's nice change of pace.
Yeah, because I feel like having just come off a Crossroads, that there are some lists that are just like, I don't care which opponent I'm playing. Here are 5 scenarios that I don't ever want to have to play. Right? Like some lists just work that way. So yeah, some people will probably take really, really good advantage of the ability to pick which scenario they're playing, or possibly which terrain they're playing. So another little thing to test people, to see who's thinking far enough ahead to take advantage of all the opportunities here. So we will see how that works out. Also, before we get into the first table, I will say that we are doing an updated version of Bart Shroud scoring this time around, similar to what we've been doing before, in that the scenario is the main source of points, and it's a straight additive scenario 1 for 1. I think there's just instead of it starting at like 0, or there being like 3 points for a win and like 1 point for uh, a loss. I think it's like 10 points for a win and maybe 5 points for a draw and 1 point for a loss or something like that. And then the 7 points for scenario and 4 or 5 points. I think it's 5 points for attrition at like in like 20% buckets, if I'm remembering correctly. So similar to what we've been doing, focus on solid scenario play, get all the scenario victory points you can, and you'll come out with a good amount of points. Yep. Thank you, Bart.
Before we go into table one, I have just real quick question.
Mhm.
So, Mike, let's say you and I were paired round one. Hypothetically, we roll off for the scenario and table bit, and let's say you win the roll. Do you get to choose if you want to pick scenario or table? Do you get to like pick between those two things that you get to pick from?
Yeah,
You
I
know what I
think
mean?
yeah, I think I get to pick which one I get to pick.
Got it.
So I would say like I'm going to decide the scenario, and we're doing this one, and then you get to say, well,
Then
then
I
between the
get the
two
table.
maps, I'm picking this. Yep.
Got
So
it.
yeah, if you win, you get to decide which one you get to determine.
Perfect.
Cool. All right. Well, that is 20 minutes in, and I think it's time to get to the first table. We have 24 tables to go through. I'm going to try to keep this to less than 2.5 hours. So let's get started. Hold on. Bart's gonna scenario is always chosen first. Whoever is picking it. I see. So if you win the roll off and pick terrain as the thing you want to pick, your opponent still picks scenario first, and then you pick the terrain.
You can defer back to terrain. Got it.
Yeah, which makes sense because there are some terrain maps that you absolutely like don't want to play for certain scenarios, or that maybe you can't because like, oh, we're playing dominate, but one of the maps has a big piece of impassable terrain in the middle of the table, so like obviously we're not going to do that one here.
Good.
Yeah.
Anarchy. Figure it out. Everyone's scraping the edges of their bases in there.
Squeeze in.
Good.
No one can charge anyone. We're all just stuck here in the middle. All right, cool. So everybody keep that in mind as we're going through. So just glance at the maps here. There's a hill right in the middle of the top map. And that's kind of the biggest difference that I see just glancing at them. Otherwise, they're pretty well spread out. The bottom map has a lot more open space in the middle, it looks like.
Well, yeah, the right and the middle seem pretty open, but the left seems pretty congested.
Yeah, all the terrain's kind of over on one side. So again, depends on what scenario you're playing. If you're playing invade and you want a lot of cover and you can sneak most of your army across in the covered part of the table, that might be a good choice for you.
Yep. Yeah, like if you got a lot of low defense units, like you gotta,
Map picker gets +1 for roll on side, so that's cool. So scenario is always chosen first. You pick the map, but if you pick the map, you have a slightly better chance of being able to pick which map side you're on.
Huh. Okay.
Little consolation for going second. You get a little bit better chance at picking the sides you want, which I guess makes sense. It would suck for you to pick like, well, since I get to pick the map, I'm going to pick a really slanted map. But then you lose the roll and your opponent gets the better side, like because then they will have gotten to pick both the scenario and they'll get the best table side as well, which is might be a little unfair for folks. So yeah, giving people a little bit of edge if they pick a map that way. Of course, if you try to pick the map that's the most like that's like the fairest for both sides, then it doesn't really matter. So you can decide whether you want to live dangerously or not, I guess. Cool. All right. Well, so let's get started. Let's move on then to the first table, table 1. The first 3 tables are challenges. So table 1, as is traditional, is Alex Chavez versus Mark Howard. Is this the 4th time they've played as a first round challenge?
I thought Alex declined this challenge, but I guess I am mistaken.
Maybe he did, and Rob just decided that like this is a gift that should just keep on giving. I don't know. But so this is an Order the Green Lady, not dwarves, but Order the Green Lady versus undead match, which is a little different. Alex has been playing dwarves for a while, and I guess he decided he wanted to be a little faster this time. And so this is going to be Order the Green Lady, a 13 drop, 21 unit strength list. Versus an undead 14 drop 36 unit strength list. So this is our high water mark for unit strength. and you can see why. So taking a quick look over what's in the list over on Alex's side, this is going to be very similar looking to the other Order of the Green Lady list we've been seeing. Double Redemption, triple Forsaken, triple Pegasus, triple Unicorn, Green Lady for support. And he's thrown in a Brotherhood Centaur regiment instead of one of like the Naiad units that the other folks do, because more cav, more beta, I guess. Alex is thinking we'll see how he does first time out with the Green Lady. Over on Mark's side, he is bringing 9, and count them, 9 legions of zombies, which I think might even be more than Ray Wyant has put on the table before. This is the zombie arms race is on. And then he's just got some support pieces, basically just some support characters to go with the zombie legions to try to get them to do something useful and stay alive. So yeah, Mark, you mad bastard. This is beautiful. I hope you don't get yourself stuck in traffic every game trying to move these legions around each other. So let's pop it over to the panelists and see what they think about this matchup. Let's start with Justin.
Well, first of all, let's get out of the way. It depends on the scenario.
There it is. Everyone drink.
Everyone drink. I mean, Alex's list is pretty good. The Centaur Regiment, I actually kind of like over the Heart Piercers, just because, again, you want to be an aggressive unit. It's a cheap enough unit you can use it for chaff or for cleanup or for carrying tokens, because that's the one unit that you don't care about. And it's just, I don't know. But 9 zombie legions is interesting. I would love to see how that plays. I mean, if Alex rolls a couple of double ones, like, things can go real bad real quick for him. But like, depending on your opponent to roll double ones seems like a bad game plan.
Yep.
But Alona's cool. Alona's really good. So yeah, I don't know.
What charge is Green Lady ever going to make this game where they feel good after they make the charge? Right? Like, what combats do they feel good about taking?
I don't know.
But they also can't not fight them. So I think Alex will be sledded uphill here. I don't know how you protect these valuable cav. Flanks and rears kind of just start happening, and you throw enough dice, things take wounds. So I don't know. I feel pretty good for just the amount of idiots that Mark is bringing.
So this is a dumb question. Can a zombie legion kill a Pegasus?
In one round? I don't know. Can they kill anything in one round? Probably not.
Probably not.
Can a zombie legion kill a Pegasus? That depends on the nerve roll.
Yeah. So, but it's like, it's not a guarantee, right? So
no, but you have vicious oil in there.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give it an armor buff if it's the one with hammer. Who knows?
Oh yeah, hammer measure force is not a terrible thing on a zombie legion. It's still a boatload of attacks.
Yeah. So what do you think, Justin?
Alex, I think is going to win this one.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and assume that Ray, if he were here by now, would vote for Alex. Brad.
It's Mark all day.
Okay.
It's
all right.
So in their first round matchups, what's the record for it? Is it 1-1-1 or something like that? Or okay, that answers it, Brad. Thank you.
I think Mark is close to 0-3. And if it's not, it's a 1-2. But I think it's an 0-3. To be fair, though, I'm going to defend Mark real quick. Mountaineer, apparently he snaked the Horde at least once, though it could have been twice, when they were up in 20-something wounds for those dwarves. So I think Mark had a shot, and Dice told him no.
All right. I think, as much as I hate to say this, I think it's going to come down to this scenario. Because if Alex gets to pick scenario and picks invade, he just has to keep Mark from getting out of his side of the table, which he can do on turn 1 when he charges everything, right? And just makes a wall of Green Lady that just has to live till turn 5. Then nothing on Mark's side that scores will be able to make it across the table. So we'll see. We will see. So there we go. Table 1. I'm gonna for the people who are actually on the cast already. That's 1-1, but I'm assuming that Ray would vote for Alex. So we'll call that one a 2-1 for Alex, and move on to table 2, our second challenge. And this is quite a treat. If I had cameras and bandwidth and time to stream this tournament, this is probably a table that I would seriously consider streaming in round 1. So we have former U.S. Master Keith Conroy going against former Nerdhammer tournament champion Matt Griffin. I can't remember if he won last year. I think it might have been the year before last that Matt won. But this should be a very, very interesting match. This is a Night Stalker versus Salamander match. 15 drops and 21 unit strength on the Night Stalker side to 14 drops and 25 unit strength on the Salamander side. Looking over Keith's list, it's kind of a Night Stalker toolbox, really. Like, he's got some Scarecrow regiments. He's got just a one Butcher Horde. He's got some Ravagers. He's got some Soul Flayers. He's got some Beetle Fangs. He's got the triple Mind Screeches, which are gonna be a recurring theme that we'll see. Two with Lightning Bolt and one with Heal. Shadow Hulk, which is a really great Titan. The Portal of Despair, and some support characters. So like not a spammy Night Stalker list, just sort of a little bit of everything. And then over on the Salamander side, he's got an Ancient Troop for Defense 6 Inspiring. He's got some Kaizenord Lancers, Scorch Wings, triple Rhinosaur Cav Horde, triple Commodon. That's kind of the core of his list. And those 3 Gakota Skylords on Scorch Wings flying around, getting in the way of stuff. Really good utility scoring chat pieces there. And 1 Ancient Phoenix for some healing as well. Kind of also a little bit of everything Salamander list with like a good Cav punch and a good amount of shooting there. So yeah, interesting matchup. Let's start with Brad this time.
So the thing that I'm looking at more so is I see Ravage, I see Mind Screeches, so it's a decent amount of ranged output, which means the Salamander list, while relying on defense and is mostly melee, can't wait forever to take these engagements. And I think with the couple Scarecrows and the Needle Fangs and just kind of some more disposable units on their side for these Night Stalkers, I like the Night Stalkers here in terms of how to land. I don't know if I'm supposed to vote now or at the end, or
You can, absolutely.
I like the Night Stalkers here.
Right.
I don't think their stealth is going to matter a tremendous amount, but I think their positional play is going to assist here with lining up against a fairly melee heavy list. I'll also say before we keep going, I haven't had a chance to look these lists in advance, so I'm coming up with this on the fly. So if I say something wrong, it's probably just wrong.
All right, Justin.
So Keith, I don't think has played a game in like a year. Well, a competitive game in a year. It's been at least that of winter of last year, if not Crossroads of last year, since his last game in an actual tournament. But he may be one of the best, like, playing for the scenario players in the country. And then you give him the toolboxes that are like the Soul Flayers, the Banshee with the Resonant Chorus. You give him Estinistra, and like it just allows him to manipulate the battlefield in a ways that other armies just can't. But man, that is not a ton of defense stuff. So once Matt gets into there, he's going to eat. 3 hordes of Rhinosaur Calves is pretty much picking up anything in this list minus the Shadow Hulk. So I don't know. It's going to be tough for both of them. And yeah. And the Skylords on Scorpions are just those jerk characters that just do jerk things. So yeah. I don't know.
Really useful if they end up playing Pillage.
Yeah.
All right, who's your pick?
I gotta go for. I'm gonna go for Matt just because Keith has not played a tournament game forever. It's probably the wrong choice, but it's the choice I'm making.
That's fine. All right, so that is 1 vote for Keith, 1 vote for Matt. Ray should be here anytime, but I don't know who he would pick in this match, so I'm not going to pick for him. So we'll just leave that one at 1-1. And
I can roll a die for you if you want for Ray.
No, I'll just ask him later. It's fine.
Right.
He's had the list since earlier today, so he's probably got opinions on all these already. So let's move on to table 3. This is the third and final first round challenge match. It's going to be Chris Murphy versus Joe Borghese. This is the official Nice Off table. Battle of the Nice Guys here. This is our only Basilean list versus one of our 6 dwarf lists. Basilea on their side is looking at 13 drops and 23 unit strength, and on the dwarfs it is 14 drops and 24 unit strength. So looking over the Basilean list, he's got just the one Alohi Horde, a couple hordes of Ogre Palace Guards, some Paladin Knights, and a troop, a couple of heavy Arbalests, which I don't think you see all that often, double Phoenixes, some Sisterhood Scouts, which are okay at what they do, I think. and a priest, and Julius, who's pretty effective. Over on the dwarf side, this is kind of the standard dwarf list that you're going to see a lot of, or at least one of the couple variations, and that is the four Iron Guard regiments, that wall defense 6 with throwing dogs, triple sharpshooters for long range fire support, some Brock Riders to go up a flank, Mastiff Hunting pack for some chaff, Galax Fury and a Steel Behemoth, Faber Ironheart, and a couple of Dwarf Lords on large beasts just for some more defense 6, because you can never have enough. Yeah, this is a fun one. Justin, what do you think?
Man, Chris Murphy is that list. The Arbalists put in work. Their ballistas, they hit on 4s, so they're always, even if they're hitting on 5s, you don't really care that much because they're still D3 damage piercing too. The Elohi Horde, the Celestial Fury for the Crushing 2 seems to be popular in Elohi nowadays, but I would be terrified to run it myself. But like, he's got a deceptively good amount of shooting that, man, against that defense 6, though, it is not going to put in that much work. But he has 2 Phoenixes, so once they get in, he can heal. But man, I don't see a way forward for Chris to beat just all that defense 6, because like Joe kicked my butt at Atlantic City, so I'm not saying this because of that, but like, he's a very good player too. So, but like, I don't know, I kind of like Joe's list a lot, and these are both 2 beautiful armies too. So that's all. I don't know. I would pick Joe if it was me.
All right. Well, it is you, so I'm putting
No,
it
it
out
is me.
to
It
Joe.
is up to me. Yeah, I'm picking Joe.
All right.
I'm concerned Justin isn't Justin now.
All right, Brad, what do you think?
I think Justin and I will agree on one of these at one point, but this isn't the round. So I think going back to the old cliche again, I think the scenario matters, and I think both of them lend themselves to any ability to move, and I never think dwarves can do it. So I'd pick Basilians to get across the center. I'd also anticipate them spreading out better on pillage. You don't have to kill everything from dwarves. You said to kill enough that you win on scenario. So I'm going with Chris Murphy on the Basilians.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, like this is this. Yeah, I don't know. They're both really good players. We'll see what happens there. All right, so that is again a 1-1 split. I love it when the panel doesn't agree. It's always so boring to watch these things where like one person says what they think, picks an army, and you get to the next guy and he's like, they just go, yeah, what he said, and you go on to the third guy and he's like, yeah, what he said, and that's it. I'm like, okay, well, I could clearly just have one of you on here. We could be getting all the same amount of content. So you guys keep on disagreeing. It keeps things interesting.
Well, I'm pretty dumb, so if he's agreeing with me, that does less about him than it does about me.
I'm not even sure Justin's Justin.
Well, I do have a twin brother, so maybe my doppelganger is here and it's not actually me. We never know these things.
It's hard to tell. I send URLs to people, and whoever shows up, I'm like, well, this must be the guy. So anyway, so that's table 3. That's another 1-1 split, and it's 7:37. So hopefully Ray is not.
I rolled Basilians for Ray.
Okay, I'll put him down. Put him down as Chris. I'll go back and ask him if he wants to change it later. All right. Table 4. So moving into the first of our non-challenge tables, we have Dale Motley versus Joey Greek. Couple of really good players here. Another like this could be, top table towards the end of any tournament. But they're playing each other round 1. So again, if I was streaming this tournament, another really good candidate for something that people might be interested in watching. So this is obviously going to be a dwarf versus ratkin match. 13 drops on each side. 24 unit strength for the dwarves, 19 for the ratkin. Popping over to look at Dale's list. It's going to look very similar to the one we were just looking at for Iron Guard regiments, triple sharpshooters, some Brocks, Galax Fury, a couple Steel Behemoths, Faber, and a Dwarf Lord on large beast. Basically just swapping a Dwarf Lord on large beast for another tank. And Joey's Ratkin, he's got a couple of Nightmare Hordes, a couple Tutter Rudder regiments, Brood Enforcer, Brood Mother, Kryza. He's got that Smoke, Mirrors, and Death formation, which is kind of like this is kind of a different sort of Ratkin list. This isn't just a like hordes and hordes of bodies kind of Ratkin list. This is like a shooty kind of kind of Ratkin list. So it's not exactly the exact stereotype that you expect to see out of them, but he is very good with it. So those are the lists. Let's start with Brad.
Well, I'm going to go against myself. This is like the same exact list I just criticized for not being able to move into relevant spots on scenario. But this list, I got to go towards in this particular one. Brute Enforcer with Hex having no targets to really get through. I've never, unfortunately, been that impressed with Scud, so I know he takes a pile of points, and I don't know if he's going to make them back against all the defense 6 chaff that can get in his way. And if he doesn't one round him, he can be in a compromising situation there. I'm going dwarves with this one.
Okay.
And I have to disagree with you again here.
Yes!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But like the smoke mirrors and death, just it puts in work. Scud's going to put in work. Crysis, amazing. The Broodmother's a great choice. The Tunnel Runners are scarier than anything in Dale's army. Maybe Gallic. The Nightmares, I mean, they may not put in a ton of work, but they're still going to do something. You know, this game, the Warrior Regiments are either chaff or sitting on an objective, depending on the mission. But man, Joey, like I played Alex Coos running a very similar list to what Joey ran, and like turn 4, I thought I was winning the game, and then half of my army disappeared. So like the shooting potential of this army is potent. So I got to give it to Joey.
All right. So that is going to be
Ray roll Joey as well.
Ray roll Joey as well.
Smart man.
All right. Cool. All right. So once again, 1-1 split for the people that are here. I've checked in with Ray. Hopefully he's going to be able to make it. He said he was going to be a little late, but we're getting beyond a little late now. So I hope everything's all right. But you know, he's got kids. Sometimes things take longer than you expected them to. All right. So moving on then on to table 5. Table 5 is going to be Alan Boehner versus Julian Lesage. This is our first Twilightkin list versus our only League of Rortia list. Both coming in at 14 drops, 21 unit strength on the Twilightkin side, and 27 unit strength on the Rortia side. On the Twilightkin side, I have no idea what any of this stuff is or what it does, so I'm not really sure what to even say about it. He's got 3 Mind Screeches, 2 that shoot lightning, and 1 that heals. He's got Lathiel, Summoner Crone, a Void Captain, and Navigator. I'm sure they all do super cool stuff. But I honestly have not really read the new Twilightkin list yet. So like, this looks cool. I can only assume that if Boehner has put this together, that this is a list of stone cold killers, and everyone should be terrified when he starts moving it around the table because he probably knows what to do with it by now. So over here on Julian's side, he's got a polearm block horde. He's got a couple of Dogs of War hordes. The ones that hit on 3s and the ones that are defense 5. He's got triple knight regiments, which I think might be pretty good, a little bit of a speed advantage over the Twilightkin, who are a little slower than that by default. And some honor guard, battle shrine, triple barons mounted, halfling master sergeant, and a couple flying wizards. So he's got some speed and some mobility. I don't know how that matches up against new Twilightkin. I don't know if anybody does. Maybe playtesters, maybe people that have already played around with it. I don't know, but we're definitely going to find out. So I think we're to Justin for the initial thoughts.
Yeah, the Twilightkin is pure filth. Like the Fleet Wardens look innocuous, but those things are amazing. Soulfires are Soulfires. Impalers, everyone loves them. Does he have any Bane Chant? He does not have the Bane Chant in the Navigator. He took Inspiring. Okay. So I don't know. He's got maybe the Impalers don't kill anything in one go, but like he's got Lightning Bolt, so 16 and 12. So he's got enough Lightning Bolt to not matter. Plus the Alchemist Curse for the I don't know. Lathiel Stealthy isn't going to matter too much here, but like the Wind Blast might. The Void Captain is disgusting. But yeah, the Planar Apparition base behind 2 Impalers, like those things are never going to die. Lathiel does have Bane Chant. I forgot about that. Thank you, Joey. So like, yeah, that list is filth. I do think 2 Void Touch Reavers is maybe 1 too many. Just because, but like I don't know. That I haven't seen it in play like in a tournament game yet, so we'll see about that. I mean, the Rortia list seems like a Rortia list, but it's like a Rortia list with just worse Kingdoms of Men minus the Honor Guard. So like I don't know, is it good? So I just Julian, enjoy your game, but I think Alan's gonna take this game comfortably.
All right, Brad.
Man, I wish I was doing this for fucking content. Before I say anything, Ray's choosing Alan. So at least for me, I know Alan's got the name and he's a favorite to win most events he's at. I'm going with Julian, and I'm gonna hang my hat on one little guy, that little halfling sergeant with that standard. A lot of that lightning bolt's gonna be shooting through spell ward. There's any terrain. Now we're hitting on 6s, so we're now effectively not shooting each other. But one list spent points on lightning bolt and one didn't. So I think the melee for Rortia might come out and steal this edge for Julian.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna throw Jeremy's comment back up there again. Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle of listening to the Twilight Kin review that you guys have done, but I'm not through it yet. So hopefully by the time I'm done with that, then I will understand the army. But I didn't have time to get through it before doing this. All right, so that is again 1-1 from the panelists on what we got going on here. We will see how this goes. This is a kind of first time we're about to find out if the new Twilight Kin are really something to be terrified of, or if it just looks good on paper. I'm sure Alan will let us know, or we'll just see what the game results are and know for ourselves.
If you want, Ray, I'll go first next round.
That sounds great. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll just kind of sit here and wait. Yes. Oh, excellent observation. Good. So next round is going to be Adam Ortel versus Joe Ferry. This is Ratkin Slaves, our only Ratkin Slave player, possibly the only Ratkin Slave player, versus Trident Realm. It's the 13 drop, 22 unit strength on the Ratkin Slave side versus 14 drops and 24 unit strength on the Trident Realm side. Taking a look over at the Ratkin Slaves, he's got that lowest of the low formation, the Hordes and the Warriors and the Taskmaster on Chariot. He's got a couple of Nightmare Hordes, some Tunnel Runners, a couple of Death Engine Impalers, a couple of an Abyssal Half-Breed Champion, which is a really great support utility piece, and a couple of the named characters, Golek and Kryza. And Joe on his side has got all kinds of Thule. He's got the Hidden Ones formation with the Thule regiments and Anisha, and another Thule regiment, and he's got some Placoderms, some Depth Horrors, Giggers, a couple of Knuckers, which are really excellent, and a Coral Giant, and then a couple of characters, but no Ector, which is interesting. You usually see Ector in a Twilight, in a Trident Realm list. And that is the list. And so now I will turn it over to Ray.
Yep, Ray went with the Ratkin Slaves.
Okay, interesting choice, Ray.
Yeah, he rolled a 1, and 1 to 3 is the left-hand side of the screen, so that's what can you do?
All right.
I, though, am going to disagree with Ray for content. You can't stop Joe Ferry. Joe Ferry left Crossroads with confidence no man has ever experienced before. That man could tear down skyscrapers with his bare hands. I felt bad for whoever had to draw Joe. Adam, unfortunately, is his first victim this weekend, and that's just going to be 4 more after him. Joe's unstoppable. I don't even matter what his list is. It could be blocks of paper. It doesn't matter. He's got this.
All right. Justin.
I would love to vote for Adam because, like, Ratkin Slaves, like, he may be the only Ratkin Slaves player in the country, I think, or one of, if not, he's the only one I know of. But, like, all this melee 4+ does not want to see Ensnare. So, like, I don't know, like, the Death Engine Impalers don't roll hot on their D6s. Like, he might be in for a bad time with all those Chariot bases. Like, it's going to be an uphill battle for Adam, I think. I mean, as much as I don't want to vote for Joe, I kind of have to.
Yes.
Like I feel dirty voting for Joey, but like I have to. I gotta vote for Joe Ferry.
1, not Joey, just Joe.
Just Joe. Okay.
No one asked him. No one asked him how many times he's licked the cup. We don't want to know.
We videotaped it for you. We'll show it to everyone when you hand it off to the. Actually, what am I talking about? We're keeping it.
Right, like as you're handing it to the next club to win it, like you're holding here's the video to make you not want to touch it as you're like but I torn.
So we agree for the first time.
We do, but Ray
That's
disagreed,
fine.
so
But
it's all
Ray
fine.
disagrees, so yeah,
But
we're
Ray
one.
disagrees.
Okay.
Still no clean sweeps, which is what I like to see in these things.
Well, we can make Ray go first each round.
That would be great. Until he gets here. Which hopefully still is. I pinged him and I haven't heard from him. So again, like Ray, I hope everything's okay. I should mention I forgot to get it out, but we are playing for the pink flamethrower gorilla model here. So whoever gets the least number correct will be gifted that lovely model, which was, I believe, painted by Greg from the Unplugged Radio podcast, and you will be required to at least have it on the table for at least one game at the next GT you play at. If you play with a model that is on a 50-50 base, then you should use it for that. And if you don't, you can just have it on the table, and then after that, you can pass it off to whoever is the least accurate predictor on the next one of these that comes around. And I knew I was forgetting something, and now I know what it was. I forgot to get the damn monkey out. So that's table 6. Let's move on now to table 7. This is going to be Paul Costin versus Stephen King. This is a Goblin versus Forces of Nature match. 19 drops and 23 unit strength on the Goblin side versus 12 drops and 22 unit strength on the Forces of Nature side. Over on the Goblin side, it's not 6 whole hordes of rabble, just 4 with 2 backup regiments, but then triple trombone, triple slasher with trumpets, a giant, Grony Snark, a couple of Bangits, a couple of Whizzes, and Magua and Joes. Not bad. A little bit of combat stuff there with the giant. Not as war machiney as Goblin lists sometimes are. And then over on the Forces of Nature side, Stephen King has gone the double Earth Elemental Horde, double Greater Air Elemental, and Tree Herder variant instead of the formation. But it's still very elemental heavy. Water elementals, the Gladewalker Druid with the double surge casting is just so good. Such good value for points there. And then a couple of Scorchwing Hordes for some shooting support there. So good, solid Forces of Nature list. We asking Ray first this time? Should we ask Ray first this time?
Yeah, Ray rolled already while you were chatting there. He rolled a 5er, so we're going with Stephen King. He's a fan of novels and he wants to read.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And then I think we're on Justin?
I think, yeah. So like Steve's another like good player from the Northeast coming down, but like I don't know how he engages with this Goblin army. Like there's 6 trombones, Magwan Juice, you get the Bangits, like Gronies there. I don't know, like how do you fight that like with elementals? Because like wherever you go, you're gonna get 6 trombones and everything else, and then there's still a giant gonna be staring down your flank at some point. Like, man, I don't know. Unless those greater airs can get like behind him in a flank or something, I think it's going to be an uphill battle for Steve. I definitely think Paul's going to take this one.
That is fair.
I think a lot of the stuff you mentioned, I agree with, but I think the giant here has just a wealth of targets. I think Slayer's active on pretty much everything he can fight minus the 2 druids. So I think that brings a lot of value. And the Force of Nature doesn't have a great way to engage with it, but it's also, in terms of like a target priority, is generally lower on the list of stuff you really care about. You'd probably rather be fighting slashes to get rid of the guns, getting rid of trombones, but there's no target that giant is going to fight that it's not going to do a pile of work to. I also disappointingly have to agree with you, Justin. I'm going with Paul. I'm just happy that Ray has disagreed with us.
Yeah, and I have to say, as a Forces of Nature player, like this Goblin list is not something that I want to see across the table for me at all. I'm going to get shot. I'm going to have things that I cannot easily kill in one hit. Oh, hey, there's Ray. Yay!
Also, get Ray's actual opinion, not just roll dice for him anymore.
Now Ray's actually here. We've already gotten Ray's randomly determined opinion for this table, so we will cycle you in on the next one, sir.
I'll put the die away.
Okay. I'll just say, like, when I see a Goblin list like this, it's going to come down to, are we playing a scenario that I can win by only deploying on like a third of the table? And if it's not, then I'm screwed. And both of these scenarios are invade and pillage. So neither of those are really great for the Forces of Nature player. You can get across the table, but he's got 3 slashers. So you're going to get flanked by stuff. This is going to be a very, very uphill battle for Steven. I wish him the best of luck, but I don't think it's going to work out great for him. And so with that, welcome, Ray. Glad you could make it.
Hi, thank you very much. sorry, parent teacher ran long, so I'm a bit late.
That's all right.
I had to find out about all the terrors that happens to a 3-year-old.
So you've
Sure.
been participating even without being here.
That's fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
no, we've
fair.
been like,
Have I been voting for the aristocrats all time?
I'm not really sure.
There's only been one aristocrat match. So, and yes, you voted for Alex for that one.
Yes,
Alright.
absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, we've been rolling randomly to decide which person you voted for. So let's move on. Hey,
If I
But,
win the Oracle on rolling random, that would be
be
amazing.
that would be something.
If you lose, though, you still have to use the pink gorilla, though. So bear that in mind.
That's fair.
It's true. It's true. And so now, hey, you've arrived just in time to vote for an aristocrat. So this is going to be little me versus Jordan Braun. Once again, this is Twilight Kin versus Forces of Nature match. 14 drops and 19 unit strength on the Twilight Kin side, versus an equal 14 drops and 21 unit strength over on my Forces of Nature side. And as I said before, I have no idea what this army does or what the fuck I'm supposed to do to it. He's got a lot of void touch things and mind screeches that are going to shoot lightning at me, and an assassin that moves super fast and can go in any direction, which is going to ground anything I send to try to get behind him or in his flank, and a bunch of summoner crones that all have weakness or can move 18 inches and cast Alchemist Curse at me. That sucks. This is going to be interesting. So please, guys, tell me what the hell I should do with this, and let's start with Ray. I'm not even going to say what's in my list. Everyone's seen it. I'm playing the same fucking thing. It's all the elementals.
To be fair, just before Ray goes, fake Ray still picked you, Atkins.
Oh. The system works.
Absolutely. I think there are 5 individuals in that Twilight Kin list. So there's really not a lot of units that have unit strength. The Mind Screeches are relatively simple. He looks like he's running 18 lightning bolts between the 3 of them. The Impalers with the, I believe they have phalanx. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong.
Only 2 with lightning bolt. Right?
Sorry. The Impaler hordes are with phalanx.
Big shield.
No, they don't have. They have big shield.
Okay. So
I gotta get next one.
I think this is where you have to do the surge into the flanks of those, because from the front, your list tends not to have a whole lot of crushing strength. So your hammer of measured force that you have on the air elementals is actually an advantage. I know you and I have discussed that, because it. The question is, why are you doing that? Why are you doing Drunken Ram? But this is the time and place where you have those abilities. I think you have the speed advantage over the Twilight Kin. You have the ability to pick the combats. The Twilight Assassin can stop something from doing hitting one of your units, but it can't stop everything. And you'll have to just weather the shooting, take advantage of any of the terrain to get the hits that you need. The problem with the Summoner Crone with AC is that he has to get within 12 inches of you. So while he can indeed hurt you, specifically the Earth Elemental regiments, which would probably be my target with him, ideally, he's going to be within 12 inches, which means you're going to be able to turn around, surge into him to deal with that threat. So this is going to be one of the ones with positioning and careful play and maximum use of surge, and probably some longer surges than what you care to normally do, Mike. But I have faith in you.
All right.
Am I next?
Well, thanks. Yeah, you can be next.
Oh, good. I wanted to immediately follow saying, Mike, I don't have faith in you, and I'm going with Jordan.
Great.
So it's I do have faith in you, Mike. I think you have the okay, I don't think you're gonna get run over, but I am gonna go with Jordan, and that's based on the 2 Summoner Crones having weakness. Weakness with the 3 Impaler hordes, I found to be just very silly, right? Like it feels like most games get to like an even midpoint after you get some flanks and you take off some units while also losing some. It's a bit of a give and a take. But once that midpoint hits and they start weaknessing into units that have some thunder, some crush, that would make it so you're getting through maybe even the fronts of these Impalers on 4s instead of 6s. Well, now it starts going up to 5s. If maybe you lose a thunder because of terrain, weakness has just been so much more relevant, and the more impalers you have to combine with that weakness just makes these midpoint, like these mid games, really skew towards Twilight Kin and the games I've gotten to practice into them.
All right, Justin.
So Karis is the one that's got that solar staff thingy that does like disorders. If
Yeah,
it does damage, right?
yeah,
And there are some juicy defense 4 targets for you.
yeah.
And then you got Surge when the Lions actually meet. This is going to be a tight game, I think, depending on how much damage you can put on you before you engage. But like once you engage, you're just going to eat. Like the air elemental hordes, the greater airs, even the fire elemental hordes are very like that's 6 wounds a turn, pretty against anything in his list. So like I if he can delay combat to like turn 4, I think it slips to Jordan's favor. But if you can get in there before then or get like a sneaky flank charge somewhere, I love your list, and I think I'm gonna vote for Mike here.
All right. I appreciate the vote of confidence. We will see how this goes. I will definitely finish listening to the countercharge review for the Army, so I know what the hell the units do by the time I get there. And we will see how round 1 goes. Folks.
It won't help.
So final note, Mike, just pay attention to the wild charge on the void touch mutants. With wild charge D3, speed 7, they're
Look at this coaching. Mike's a guy, like he could do it on his own. I'm fighting Jordan for round 1. I'm coaching him just to
That's
make
fine.
sure it's fair.
Don't get flanked.
Look
Just
at
find him.
this.
Just don't get
Jeez.
flanked. Just don't get flanked.
don't get flanked.
That's it. That's all the advice you need. Don't roll snake eyes. Don't get flanked. There you go. Table 9: Keith Baker versus Mike Zettelmeyer. This is an ogre versus salamanders. Ogres versus salamanders match. 14 drops on the ogre side, 24 unit strength versus 12 drops. Very elite salamander list with 18 unit strength. Ray is laughing because Mike played ogres last year, a whole bunch. I'm guessing that's
and the year before, right?
And the year before. So like, it's definitely an army that Mike knows inside out. Sorry, Keith. It's gonna be rough, man. So over on Keith's side, he's got some warrior regiments and a horde. He's got a couple siege breakers. He's got a berserker braves horde, red goblin bigots, some warlocks, kitted out the way you would expect with drain life and lightning bolt. One of them's got a boomstick, nom nom, and a couple of ogre warlords. Over on Mike's side, he's got a couple fire elementals, a couple of rhinosaur calves, a couple of greater fires, Commandant, an ancient phoenix, a mage priest, a clan lord mounted, a battle captain on a rhinosaur, the inspiring talisman, and Rakawas the Pale Rider. This is a really, really solid, good all-around toolbox kind of salamander list with a little bit of everything. And it's really tough to play against. So now everybody's here, so I'm going to start. I'm going to start with Justin this time and work my way down.
I love Mike's list. The greater fire elementals, like they're a surgible lord on Frostfang. Actually, right now they're currently better than a surgible lord on Frostfang because they have the vicious built into them. They would be taken in every single nature list except for how good air elementals are.
Right.
So like the fact that people in salamanders just aren't playing that like is crazy. That being said, there is a ton of lightning bolt and drain life on that ogre side, so he kind of out heals a little bit because there's only the one phoenix for Mike. But man, like I can't look past the greater fires. Like Mike's got this in the bag.
All right, Brad.
Disagreeing for content again. Geez. There's I feel like the lists are pretty similar to what they're trying to do. Their ranged elements are not tremendous. It's a lot of get up and punch in the face. The warlocks in ogres, I think, give a bit more of that. I also think that's the only real target the warlocks have is trying to lightning bolt down the alchemist curse idiot, and everything else in melee you just fight face up with and drain life to try and win the long battle. I'm going with ogres. And then let's see if fake Ray agrees with real Ray. I rolled salamanders for fake Ray.
Ray.
See, I don't need to be here. I'm going to vote salamander. Mike beat me with that list. He's a great player, and he knows ogres. Mike all day.
There you go. And once again, Ray, you arrived just in time to vote for the only 2 aristocrats left on the field after table 1. So see, perfect timing. There you go. All right, so that's going to give us a 2-1 split. For Mike, still no clean sweeps so far, which is something I'd love to see. So let's move on now to table number 10. This is Charles Fadouk versus Ray Crum. This is a Northern Alliance versus Dwarves matchup. So, two very popular armies. Of course, they're going to run into each other. 13 drops and 22 unit strength on the Northern Alliance side versus 17 drops and 26 unit strength on the Dwarf side. There's a lot of unit strength for Dwarves. Over on Chuck's side, this is a list that he's been playing for, I think, about 3 weeks. He's got some pack hunters, some ice elementals, some Frostclaw Rider hordes, some snow foxes for a bit of chaff, the Ice Queen, Sarakina, Thanon Frostfang, Frostclaw champion with Hex, and the legendary Frostright Rim. And then over on the dwarf side, he's got 6 Iron Guard regiments. I think he can only afford Mastiffs on 5 of them. He's got a couple of sharpshooters, 3 Mastiff hunting packs, Galax Fury, triple battle drillers, a Faber Ironheart, and a Dwarf Lord on Large Beast with Hex. Slightly different dwarf list than some of the others we've seen, but still with a lot of similar elements, a lot of Iron Guard, Defense 6, Galax Fury, Dwarf Lord on Large Beast, always super popular. Let's start out with Brad.
So I like this Northern Alliance list quite a bit. I think the Ice Queen with the Boots, Bane Chant, and Veil is maybe a bit expensive of a caster, but short of that, I don't think there's anything in here that looks something I wouldn't also consider. I think the one thing I don't necessarily like is it feels like in terms of some native units, whether it's Huskarls to Frostfangs to some of the Lords, it feels like some of the native crush is missing, short of Rim, of course, and fighting 6 defense 6 units combined with the Lords and Faber and Galax and just everything else that goes with playing against Dwarves. I think those Pack Hunters and Ice Elementals and everything else around them are just going to get stuck before they get cut down, unfortunately. So I'm going with Ray, even though I'd like to pick Northern Alliance.
All right. Ray, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to go with Ray because he has a great name, but also because he has 10 defense 6 units, and the Northern Alliance list just has a couple of crushing 1, with the exception of the Hirim, and doesn't have the ability to do the massive number of wounds required to break through that dwarf line. So that's just my thoughts looking at this list.
Fake Ray roll Charles.
Ooh. We have our first dissenting fake Ray vote. Okay, Justin.
So I sadly have to agree with my cohorts here. That dwarf, it's so much defense 6, and outside of like Hirim and the Thane, there isn't a ton of just like crushing that can do any wounds reliably to the dwarves. Like the Frostclaws maybe can get a flank charge off something, but then Ray just turns his entire line, right? So I don't know. And the Mastiffs are still elite when he engages. Like the Pack Hunters aren't in high defense, the Frostclaws aren't in high defense. So they got good targets to shoot at. So I think it's going to be an uphill battle for the Northern Alliance. I'm not saying they can't win. I just think it's the dwarf list is just better in this matchup.
Also, real quick question: what's the height on the Dwarf Lord and Large Beast?
4, I think.
4.
Just wondering.
Yeah, so you can hex over the hill.
Hex over the hill, but hex over pretty much everything isn't Frostclaws or Rim.
Yeah, I think I've played Chuck a few times with this list. He's getting pretty good at it. But this is going to be rough for him. His light shooting gives my lightly armored forces of nature some trouble, but the dwarves are not going to care. And his trick of walking up and having ice elementals shoot and then surge into you, the dwarves will be like, yeah, we know that trick. We can do it too with dogs. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very tough game for Chuck. So that is our first clean sweep from the panel.
Boo.
We made it all the way to table 10 though, which is pretty good. Before we got there. So table 11 is going to be Buck Schiff versus Kevin Strong. This is a Salamander versus Night Stalker matchup. 14 drops and 27 unit strength on the Salamander side, 15 drops and 29 unit strength on the Night Stalker side. So some big unit strength armies here. Buck lives down in Richmond, doesn't get out to a lot of events, so folks might not recognize his name. but he plays fairly regularly up here with us in Fredericksburg. So he's got some Unblooded. He's got a couple of Ancient Troops for some Defense 6 inspiring. He's got a Ceremonial Guard Horde, a couple of Tyrant Regiments, a couple of Scorchwing Regiments, a couple of Rhinosaur Regiments and a Horde, a couple of Battle Captains on Rhinosaurs, and a Clan Lord on Fire Drake. So kind of a little bit of everything, a little bit of redundancy everywhere. Salamander list. Over on the Night Stalker side, we got a couple of Doppelganger Regiments, which you don't see very often. Some Scarecrow Regiments and a Horde. A couple of Bloodworms Hordes with Hammer Measured Strength and Hammer Measured Force and Brute Strength. Phantom Troop, Soul Flare Regiment, triple Mind Screeches, all three headed out with Lightning Bolt, a couple of Shadow Hulks, and a Horror. Interesting, slightly different kind of Night Stalker list than what we've been checking out. Did I start with Brad last time?
Yeah.
I'll go again.
Let's start with Ray this time then.
Well, first off, Brad, who am I voting for?
Oh, great question. You're picking a Buck Schiff here, according to the die.
Well, that sounds fair. I'll go with Buck. To be fair, I don't know either of these two individuals very well, so I like the fact that the Salamander list is completely focused on combat. There's no heal. There's not a lot of shooting. Very little shooting. The Scorchwing Regiments. So essentially, what I would look at this list and go, no shooting, all combat, and a fair amount of speed. The Night Stalkers list has an awful lot of combat as well. Again, it has the 18 Lightning Bolt, but a bit more shooting, but not enough that as a Salamander, I would be worried about my units being picked up one at a time, with the exception of maybe the Scorching Regiments. So I think this is one of the ones where the Salamander list is kind of designed for combat, to get in, to get engaged, and Kevin doesn't have the shooting to stop that. He has a fair bit of nerve with the Bloodworm Hordes and Scarecrow Hordes, but not quite enough to handle that level of power that Buck will bring in. So hence, Brad, thanks for telling me who I'm voting for, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going for Buck.
All right, Justin.
I'm going to go with Kevin. I like both of these lists, but I'm terrified to run something like Buck's list because the bases are so wide and so narrow that I like the Zombie Legions from round one. I don't see how this doesn't become just a massive traffic jam. Like, he's got all these alternating heights to see over stuff, but how do you get past your units, right? I don't know. I love the list, and if it works, like Terror Regiments, I think are amazing. Like, 15 attacks for 140 points with Crushing 2. I think they're in a good spot. But like, man, I don't like. It's a lot of wide bases that are going to be hard to maneuver, I think. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Kevin. And also, Kevin really should be playing Bloodworm Legions and not Hordes. But if you're playing Bloodworms, like, that's what you play Legions.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, I guess. But yeah. But I'm going to go with Kevin anyways.
All right, Brad.
I'm going with Kevin, but for reasons Ray said, believe it or not. So Ray was saying there's a Salamander list that's all melee oriented and with not much shooting. And I don't know what else you'd rather have if you're playing against a list like that than Doppelgangers. So everything else around the Night Stalkers is, of course, the stuff you'd expect to see: Shadow Hulks, Pile of Lightning Bolt. Bloodworms maybe not the most traditional thing, but pretty decent for what they're going to be looking to do. And then Doppelgangers against an all melee list. Always trade up. I'm going Night Stalkers.
All right, that's gonna give us 2-1. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think Justin, you saying that Buck might get caught in traffic and trip over his own feet might happen. He doesn't get to play a lot. So
I'm saying I'm not smart enough to play that list. That's all I'm saying. Whether Buck is or not, I've never met Buck before, so I can't attest to it. I just say I'm dumb and I could not pilot that list.
Yeah, if he can deliver it without getting in his own way, then he'll smash up the Night Stalkers. But I don't know that he will. So it might kind of be his game to lose in a way. So we will see what happens. But that is a split decision there: 2 for Kevin and 1 for Buck, and that is going to bring us to our midpoint, table 12. Brad versus Steve Forster, who was going to be on the cast but had to drop the last minute. So that'd be really funny. We'd have 2 commentators talking about their game. So this is going to be Undead versus Goblins. 13 drops on the Undead side, 23 unit strength versus 24 drops and 25 unit strength on the Goblin side. Looking over the undead side, Brad, you got a Revenant Horde, some zombie regiments for Chaff, a couple of Wraith troops, which are awesome, a couple of Soul Reaver infantry regiments, which are also awesome, a White Horde, which is also awesome, Soul Reaver Cavalry Regiment, which is also awesome, a Gorblight, a Vampire Lord, a Necromancer, and Lady Alona, all of which are awesome. Over on the Goblin side, he's bringing 4 regiments and 4 hordes of rabble, triple trombones, triple sharp stick throwers, triple wingets, a slasher with the trumpets, and a rampage aura, Grunny Snark, a bang it, triple whizzes with lightning bolts, a couple with hex and one with Alchemist Curse, and Magua Joes. Brad, what do you think?
Well, hold on, wait a second. Steve, oddly enough, rolled and he picked me. So jot that down. Jot that one down. Legitimately rolled a 2. That's on the left. Anyway, so here's I'm gonna call this like it's a playoff game in baseball. I'm calling my shot. I'm winning the roll. I'm picking invade, and I'm winning invade by just moving at him with no plan because I have to hit him in the face, or else I'm not doing anything that turn. That's how that game's gonna go.
That's how that game is going to go. You will either valiantly charge across the table and get stuck fighting goblins in combat for the entire game and not die and win invade, or he will shoot you to death on your way getting there.
What's crazy is Steve agreed.
True. Because we know how you deploy a goblin army like this. It's not like he's going to do anything different. Ray.
Brad, who am I voting for?
Oh, great question. Also me.
Oh no.
I'm actually rolling this die. I wish I was. I can put a camera on it.
Okay,
All right.
I will change my thoughts to say why you're gonna win. So I do like your plan of just saying I am going to win the roll, get to go first on invade, and I'm going to sacrifice my entire army to stop Steve from getting across the board. And Steve's going to get his 3 wingets onto your side, but you're going to have the 2 zombie regiments still alive because Steve's kind of ignored them on his side. So it's going to be a 4-3 win at the end of turn 6.
We
with
take
nothing
those.
else left alive because Lady Iona has run through the whizzes. Your Vampire Lord's gone through the war trombones, and your army's been lost in the process. So
Deal.
that's what I'm saying. 4-3 win.
All right, Justin.
Can I vote for a 0-0 draw?
Yes, you can.
Nothing left but individuals at the end.
If you want to call a draw, you can call a draw.
I'm going to call a draw, and I'm going to say it's going to be Grony Snark and Alona, and Alona's going to snake eyes Grony Snark on the bottom of turn 7, and that's going to be the game. I'm calling my shot.
Getting super specific here.
Yeah.
All right, we got that. All right, so that's 2 votes for Brad and 1 vote for a draw, and that will conclude table 12 out of 24 tables. So this is the midpoint. So here's our midpoint check-in. We've been at this for a little over an hour, and we're halfway done. Hey, right on schedule, just what I see. So right now, we're going to take about a 3 to 5 minute bio break, and then we will pick back up with table 13 here in just a couple of minutes. So everybody go hit the head, get a fresh drink, and we will see you back here in a few minutes.
Cheers.
Is our audio still live on the YouTube channel?
It sure is.
Yeah.
You might want to mute yourself if you
Brad,
don't want people to hear
I
you.
do actually have faith under those circumstances that you could win if you go first on invade.
I like how you're telling everyone else that room as well, and I'm just calling my shot.
Well, I do have to go with whatever the dice gods tell me I'm going with. So
Disagree with once already, Ray. Real bold. Although I noticed that Atkins said that you picked all of the aristocrat games. Does that mean you're not going Ray?
no, I have Enders being born December 1st. My 3rd child. So given the due date of 1 December, I figured leaving the country 2 weeks early might be a bad idea.
Leaving the country?
Well, I'm in Canada.
No.
Yes.
You didn't know Ray moved back to Canada?
Yes, I'll be right back. I need more booze to.
And then he moved from like Ottawa to like Southern Ontario too. If I'm
Yes.
not mistaken, that's officially moved, right? You're moved in.
All right. Well, I'm behind.
So like, yeah, Ray's like 2 hours from me now.
Yeah, I've officially joined the Northeast apparently, or living in the Northeast.
And you're
So.
what, second in Masters rankings for us right now, right behind Corey? Or are you third?
Second in the Northeast, yeah. I think I'd have about 250-ish points in the Mid-Atlantic, but I don't think that's enough to plan on. So my heart is with the Mid-Atlantic, but my my body and location is in the Northeast this year. So as my wife calmly pointed out to me today, she's like, we should probably worry about the crib, car seat, and all those wonderful details. Hence, I have my list of things to do. But
that's definitely probably priority before it starts snowing.
Those are luxuries, not necessities.
I think you might be able to say that, but I certainly couldn't.
Oh, I not only might I say, I just did say it.
Well, yes, but well, I'm hoping to get down for Vanguard. I think that's the next tournament I have planned. And I want to have a new army made for Vanguard. So I have a plan. Something that you guys haven't seen.
Is it a Kings of War army?
As in, is it Mantic models or is it something else?
It's just like legal in the game. It's not like you're showing up with like a Age of Sigmar army.
Yeah, no. It's going to be a Mantic army. I'm going to try to 3D print an army for the first time because my Trident Realm was like 100% Mantic. So I think this army will be 3D printed. And then after that, it'll be another Mantic army of Forces of Abyss.
Now everyone knows though, right? Your secret's not a secret anymore. Everyone can hear it.
Well, no. The next one's a secret. And then after that, it's Forces of Abyss.
They can hear that too.
Yeah, that's fine. Because Joey's going to have to help me. He got to stay with me at Crossroads and keep me up all night. So it's only fair that he helps me design an army.
Looks like everybody's back and ready. You guys ready to keep going?
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Let's get this back half taken care of. Welcome back, everyone, for the back 12 tables. Not the lower 12 tables, just the back 12 tables, because this is round one and it's just random matchups. Don't worry, there is still plenty of filth to be put on display. So let's get going then with table 13. It's Gabe Toth versus Justin Lengel. This is another dwarf list versus another Night Stalker list. Over on the dwarf side, we got 13 drops and 27 unit strength versus 14 drops and 26 unit strength over on the Night Stalker side. Justin usually plays Force of Nature, so this is a little something different for him. I don't know how long he's been playing it. And Gabe, this is he's been playing dwarves for a while, so this is his regular list. Over on the dwarf side, it's the pretty standard 4 regiments of Iron Guard, some Berserkers, Galax Fury, and a Steel Behemoth, Faber, Dwarf Lord on Large Beast, and then the Royal Guard formation, throwing Mastiffs all around. And over on the Night Stalker side, he's got some Scarecrows. He's got a Bloodworm Legion with a Hammer of Measured Force, as you do. Butcher Horde with Sharpness, triple Soul Flare regiments, triple Screeches, 2 of them with Lightning Bolt and 1 with Heal, double Shadow Hulks, and a Portal of Despair. I can't remember who I started with last time, so I'm going to start with Ray.
Okay, Brad, you can tell me who I'm voting for, but I can tell you.
You rolled for Lengel.
Okay, I was going to say it better be Justin because Justin is going to win this tournament. Justin or Dale. But I like Justin's list. This is exactly what the dwarfs do not want to see. That is a whole ton of crushing, coupled with a a whole ton of crushing coupled with the massive amount of nerve, which is not what you want to see when you're defense 6. Those Iron Guard regiments do not want to see a Bloodworm Legion with Hammer of Measured Force. No one wants to see the Butcher Horde with Sharpness. And 2 Shadow Hawks have the ability to just pick things up. So the Bulwarks are great against Order of the Green Lady, but not this. Justin, I have faith in you. Win the tournament. Prove me right.
All right, Justin.
Well, Ray voted for his namesake, so I got to vote for my namesake. But like, and I'm going to do it for a different reason than Ray. I'm going to do it because he's got 3 Soul Flayers and 2 Mind Screeches that can all cast Wind Blast, and they're going to play Invade, and the dwarfs are just never going to get to the midline.
Never getting out of the deployment zone. Nope.
So yeah, but yeah, I think I like Justin's list a lot. I think the Bloodworm Legion with Hammer is really good. The Butcher Horde with Sharpness is good. Like it's all good stuff, right?
Yeah, Brad.
Does Gabe have food poisoning?
Well, it's only round 1, so
If he doesn't have food poisoning, he wins the event. So going with Gabe, and you guys are both wrong. So you know.
all right.
Does Gabe often have food poisoning?
He
Just
did
a
it Mountaineer.
He did it Mountaineer.
Oh,
He
no.
he ate
And
he ate
that was-
unrefrigerated food overnight for some reason, then woke up the next morning not able to keep his insides inside.
Was it Saturday or Sunday where that happened?
It was Saturday. It was the first day of the event.
That's right. That's right.
Friday
He
night
missed
we
the
were all
first-
hanging out late. He had
Oh,
food he
God.
left in his car, which
Yep.
was in the sun.
Yep.
And then at whatever time in the morning, Friday and Saturday, was like, that looks delicious. And then it
Right.
ruined his entire Saturday. I think we saw him once and he was gray, which is a great color for a person.
Yeah, I think he showed up by like round 3, and like Chris had just been playing his army for the first couple of rounds because we knew he was there.
Yeah, so if Gabe doesn't have food poisoning, Gabe's winning. So assuming he doesn't try and eat a salad from his car from 8 hours ago, he'll be okay.
All right. So that is table 13. Another split decision. Moving on to table 14. Bart Kohler versus Thomas Strother. This is an elf versus abyssal dwarf matchup. 13 drops and 23 unit strength on the elf side versus 12 drops and 16 unit strength on the abyssal dwarf side. This is one of the lower unit strength lists. Bart's elves. He's got some Palace Guard. He's got a couple of Glade Stalkers, Sea Guard Horde, Silverbreeze Cav, Stormwind Cav, Elven Archmage, mounted with the Boots of Levitation and Alchemist Curse. And then all of the special characters, Nimue, the King's Champion, and Argus, and then the Kalaris Hunters formation with the Drakon Rider Regiments, the Lord on Drakon. And then over on Thomas's side, he's got 4 Lesser Obsidian Golem Hordes, 3 Greater Obsidian Golems for just 1 wall of rocks, and then Infernoc, and an Iron Caster, and Dravok Dalkin, and a couple of Hex Casters. And that's it. Very dense, compact, hard to crack Abyssal Dwarf army. Let's start with, I think we're back around to Justin.
So I think I like both of the lists, but for very different reasons. Like Bart's is really like kind of a generic-ish elf list. There's nothing crazy there. Like the Archmage mounted with Levitation and Alchemist Curse does not want to see 2 Hex Casters that have Hex and Weakness. It's, even though he's got all the defense 6, like he's never going to get it cast it because he's going to be hexed the entire game. This Silver Breeze and the Glade Stalkers, like they don't want to be shooting defense 6. The Sea Guard Horde does not want to be shooting defense 6. Man, I think Thomas has this one. I think he's got the 4 Greater Obsidian Golems, right? Because you got Infernoc plus the 3. And he's just going to march across the board. And he's going to sit there because they're going to pick Invade again. And he's just going to march across the board and sit there. And like Bart's never going to be able to kill anything.
All
So
right.
yeah, I'm going for Thomas just because he's got 2 Hex Casters.
All right. Brad.
Thomas for the same reason, and even if the Archmage is hidden well enough to not allow Hex to go off, decent chance that heal off the Ironcaster gets to undo a fair amount of the work. Maybe not all of it, but some. So I'm also going to go with the wall of defense 6, and to save time, Ray is picking Tom as well.
All right. Great. Tell us why.
Well, I would pick Thomas if it's Invade, because I don't think Bart can stop that wall of defense 6 crossing. But my heart was going to, because Bart, the shooting doesn't work. his combat against the weakness against defense 6 doesn't really work. It's not high enough. So if it's invade, Thomas wins. If it's pillage, Bart wins because Bart has the mobility to spread out to get the objectives. Thomas doesn't have the shooting, doesn't have the ability to spread out without giving off flanks. So I don't know how to split the decision on this one.
You don't get to hedge. Got to pick one.
Okay, Brad, what scenario is being played?
Call your shot. It's pillage.
No,
Pillage?
roll.
Oh, I got you. 1 to 3. I rolled invade.
Okay, well then it is indeed Tom. But Bart, you can't beat Tom on invade. You have to beat him on pillage. So if you get the choice, pick pillage, spread out, force Thomas to spread out. Thomas, you want invade, just clump together, walk across the board and challenge Bart.
What if, hypothetically, can I just hit you with one thing real quick? What if the Abyssal Dwarves all pick a third of the table? They all go to one side, all the elves deploy on the other. Do you think the game ends 23-16? We just walk to each other's side and stare at each other?
It's possible.
Actually, that is actually a solid plan, because if I was doing that, there's only 12 drops on the Abyssal Dwarfs. As soon as Thomas places the first 3, I can place away from it, and I'd place the 2 Dracon Rider regiments down first because they're nimble, and they can just run away. And once you get Thomas placed in 3 things, then you can just place everything else far, far away and go for a 23-16 win on invade. So, yes, I will switch my vote. I'm definitely voting for Bart. Thanks, Brad.
But Bart wouldn't do that. Like, Bart's going to want to fight.
Well, unlike Bart, I have faith that Thomas will show up because Bart's full of crap. And Bart, I love you. Thomas is going to show up and you're going to have a game, and then you're not going to play because you're just going to play like Ring Around the Rosie and win. Quickest game at Nerdhammer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely be done before any other game.
Quite possible. Yeah, no, I think if Bart plays this right, he should be able to win the scenario. So long as he just doesn't bother trying to fight anything. Like just win the scenario. Just outrun him everywhere. Because yeah, it is a wall of defense 6, but it's a shambling wall of defense 6. So they can play invade. It's going to take them an awful long time to get across the table. But we will see what happens. So let's move on to table 15. We got Chris Dwayne versus John Helbig. This is the Trident Realm versus Order of the Brother Mark match up. 14 drops and 20 unit strength on the Trident Realm side versus 16 drops and 28 unit strength on the Brother Mark side. So over on Chris's Trident Realm, he's got a lot of Thule. He's got the Hidden Ones formation, another Thule regiment. He's got a couple of troops of Riverguard Tree Leapers, which are fun. And then kind of a little bit of everything. Some Depth Horrors, some Gigas, a Nucker, a Giant, a Kraken, Ector, an Aquamage, and a Centurion. So just like survey of Trident Realm units. And then over on John's side, he's got a couple of hordes of the Lane Penitents, some Men-at-Arms Spears, some Paladin Monster Slayer hordes, a couple of Bowman regiments, the Oathsworn Guardians, a special unit, Triple Siege Artillery, an Ancient Phoenix, an Exemplar Paladin, an Exemplar Chaplain, and High Chaplain Augustus. Brad, what do you think?
I think the shooting to get through Trident Realms combined with the amount of rally and healing and just the wall of meat that's going to be coming across from that Brother Mark list has me going for good old John Helbig here.
All right.
Not to mention winner of the cup for most recent Crossroads. So put some respect on the name.
There you go. There you go. And I will say that I don't know whether or not Chris Dwayne likes Scotch. I don't know if he likes. I don't know if he's a Doers man or not. But I guess we'll find out. Right.
Is Chris representing the aristocrats? Is that why the Scotch comment came up?
No, doesn't John always bring the big thing of Doers and port for people?
I think someone from the dojo, or I think everyone from the dojo brings some amount of alcohol. So
Sure. So that's all. I don't know if Chris is playing for us or not. We talked about it, but I can't remember if anybody ever actually reached out to him. We're not the most organized club.
Well, Ray, you rolled for Chris Dwayne anyway, so
I voted for Chris Dwayne.
yeah. Well, I rolled for it, and you just got him. So
Okay, that's fair. So he's going to win because the siege artillery only shoots, has indirect fire. So he's going to like maximum speed first turn, 6 inches up. Second turn, he's going to hit with the TC1. He's going to use the hidden ones to get Bane Chant. For crushing one, thunderous one to break through the penitent hordes, despite their massive amount of nerve by double charging. And then after that, it's just going to become a mess, but the shooting will be out of it, and very few things will be left on the board. The River Guard Tree Leapers are going to get some flanks and rears because everyone's going to ignore them, because who really cares about 10 attacks hitting on 4s, with crushing 1, the kind of not important. And the artillery will try to focus on the Coral Giant, but it's going to be in your lines soon. So that's the way it's going to work. That's why Chris is going to win, because Brad told me I'm voting for Chris.
All right,
say that.
Justin.
Man, I love John's list a lot. But once they get to combat, I don't. It just although he's got 2 hordes of Monster Slayers though. So yeah, I am gonna vote for John here. Just the Paladin Monster Slayer hordes, like the hit on 3s. So the ensnare is not as big of a deal. Like the Thuls have the low nerve, the Depth Horrors are defense 3. So yeah, once they get in, like he's gonna do enough damage with those siege artillery. He's gonna get like the alleys lined up perfectly for the siege artillery. And he's got a Phoenix. So he's got some healing. So once they're in the grind, that Phoenix is gonna do some work. So yeah, John's gonna definitely win this one. And I think the turn 1, he's gonna shoot off the Coral Giant. Ray. Definitely.
Ye of little faith there, Justin. I have faith. Fish people
between the
forever.
Dude, he's gonna roll like 5 6s on the siege artillery. The bowmen are gonna shoot out of their minds. That Coral Giant's gone turn 1.
This will be
I like
Aquaman 2.
Justin Berg now. We're agreeing. Smart guy.
All right, that is table
Aquaman
15.
2.
There you go, it's Aquaman 2. That is a split decision. Again, love seeing it. So let's move on now to table 16, coming down towards the end. Chad Dudek versus Mike Ireland. Goblins versus Ratkin. 23 drops and 29 unit strength on the Goblin side versus 16 drops and 25 unit strength on the Ratkin side. Looking over Chet's list, he's got the 6 Rabble Hordes that you expect to see. He's got Mogwins, Cav units. He's got the triple trombones. He's got a mop-up launcher, triple sharp stick throwers, double mincers, a winged. He's got Grony, Wiz with lightning bolt and inspiring and alchemist curse. A couple of troll bruisers. One of them's got the orb of towering presence and double kings on chariots. It's a really solid goblin list. And then over on Mike's Ratkin, he's got a couple of regiments of warriors. He's got a couple of shock troop hordes, kitted out the way you would expect, with the plague pots and the halberds. He's got a couple of hordes of nightmares, a vermintide regiment, a tangle, triple warlocks, a war chief mounted, a couple of brood mothers, and Mother Kryza. It's kind of an interesting matchup. Let's start with Ray. What do you think?
Brad? As long as it tells me that I'm voting for Mike, like it can tell me whatever it wants.
Well, it did. It's funny you did roll for Mike.
Because Mike is a great player. Mike knows the Ratkin. He's played it as long as anyone else I know. He has the shooting, and he has the speed with the shooting to begin picking up goblin units. The 2 night and the shock troop hordes can pick up whatever they want. The nightmare in combat, the nightmare hordes can as well. You have the speed advantage by being speed 6. 15 lightning bolt from the warlocks allow you to try to target the
and
war
5 from Kryza.
trombones. Pardon?
And 5 more from Kryza. It's lightning bolt 20.
Yes. So you have 20 lightning bolts to go after the war trombones. You have the brood mothers to pick up the wounds from your that are hit upon you. Mike knows his army. He knows it well, and he's sober for game 1, which is a key criteria to his eventual victory. So game 1, game 2, Mike for sure. Game 3, questionable, but definitely game 1, Mike all day.
All right, Justin.
I mean, I do like Chet, how he, instead of going with the 3 wingers, went with the 2 mincers. I don't think it's going to help him in this matchup specifically. but I think it helps him like in like the Green Lady matchups and the dwarf matchups, like having that extra second line punch. But like I don't see a way past Mike Ireland because once again he's got Lightning Bolt 20, and then once they engage, the Broodmothers are just going to be drain lifing the shock troops back to full and helping, pick up the rabble hordes in one go. Like he's got the Vermintide Regiment if he needs to double his drain life for whatever reason, because there's no way that he's going to let that get shot. Like I don't see again, and as Ray said, it's round 1 Mike Ireland, so like definitely voting for Mike.
All right, Brad.
I think Mike's going to show up and bedazzle Chet with stories about his rainbow room and his treasure room in his house. And Chet's not going to be able to concentrate on the game. If you don't know about him, you really should ask Mike about his rainbow room and his treasure room. And hey, that's for Mike to tell you about. But I think Chet's going to be so thrown off that Mike will have a pretty easy round 1 walking through a bewildered opponent. So I'm going with Ireland.
All right. That is going to be a clean sweep then for Mike. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you'll learn about the treasure room if you ask about it.
I'm afraid. I don't think I want to. I think I want to know.
You do.
Wait. I have played Mike 4 times, maybe 5 times. He's never told me about that treasure room.
You got to ask about it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting matchup. We'll see what happens. Chet's pretty good with his goblins, but Ratkin are kind of not the army that they want to see across the table from him. So yeah, we will see what happens there. But that is a clean sweep from the panel for Mike. And we will move on to table 17. Jordan Boleyn versus Max Kenny. This is Order of the Green Lady versus more goblins. Jordan's Green Lady list, very, very tight. 12 drops and 21 unit strength versus 20 drops and 23 unit strength over on the goblin side. The Green Lady list is triple Redemption, triple Forsaken, triple Pegasus, and triple Unicorn. And there it is. On the Goblins, a couple of Rabble regiments, 4 hordes of Rabble, triple Rock Throwers, triple Trombones, a Wingit, triple Slashers with Trumpets, Grony, a couple Bangets, and a Whiz. I think we're back around to Justin to start off.
Man, I don't know how Green Lady can kill. Well, there isn't much that matters to kill. Like the Pegasus can jump the lines and go after the rock throwers, I guess, if you wanted to. Man, I don't know.
All right, it's a target-rich environment. It's like
it is, but like you got to pick the right targets, right? Because if you pick the wrong targets, or you get that real bad double ones, like, and then you just get 6 trombones in the face and you lose a horde that you shouldn't have. Like, I think Max is going to win just because like there's so many ways this game can go wrong for Jordan. Not so much like, even just outside of like gentlemanship, like just your dice don't help you for one turn, and all of a sudden, you're picking up an extra unit that you didn't think you were going to because he doesn't have the units to lose. He's only got the 12 units. So I think Max is going to pull this one out.
All right, Brad.
Max is also pulling this one out for a lot of the reasons that Justin said. You just throw a lot of dice into high value targets. They're going to take wounds, and they don't want to take them because there's not much of them to take those wounds. So I think you just keep throwing dice as goblins, and you get there at the end of the day.
Ray.
Brad?
Wow, bold choice. Ray's going with OGL here.
Okay. The reason why I'm going with Jordan is because there are only, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items in the Goblin list that have unit strength. So if you're playing Invade, you just have to kill the Rabble Hordes, the Rabble Regiments, which is actually pretty easy with those 6 units are pretty easy to kill. The Wing It, and then you have to go after the Goblin Slashers. Other than that, nothing else in the Goblin list has unit strength. So the Green Lady's going to win because they're going to kill those 10 units and somehow be across
in 2 turns.
And still have something left, yeah.
Well, maybe not, which would make it a tie, but I'm going to call tie to win for the Order of the Green Lady to be like a technical win for me. So hence, Brad, thanks for giving me my vote. Jordan's going to win because he's going to go balls to the wall. Max is going to double 1 the Order of Redemption, who are going to regenerate 5+ the wounds back so they can hit a horde on 2+ and wound on 2+, causing about 15 to 16 wounds rolling 5s twice, picking up the horde by themselves, while the other 5 units that can actually do damage kill off the rabble regiments and hordes. You lose 2 more the next turn. You kill off the
What a called shot! Holy shit! Why even play? Just submit your scores now, boys. This whole game just played out.
So Brad, you're wrong. Thanks a lot for giving me the vote. Jordan, game's yours.
All right. Moving on now to table 18. This is Corey Reynolds versus Matt Goditis. Apologize if I am not pronouncing your last name correctly. This is a Twilightkin versus Halfling match. Never thought I'd say those words, and I've done a lot of these. 14 drops and 24 unit strength over on the Twilightkin side, and 17 drops and 32 unit strength over on the Halfling side. Twilightkin, yeah. So that I'll say this: that countercharge episode where they reviewed this army that I haven't finished listening to yet. Corey's one of the people they got to do it. Corey is fucking scary with any kind of elf army. I don't know what this army does, but similar to Boehner's, I assume that if Corey put this together, that this is a fucking murderer's row of Twilightkin units. There's a whole lot of stuff there. Fleet Wardens, Void Walkers, Mutants, Phantoms, Impalers, a Void Skiff, Mind Screech, a Terror, a Navigator, a couple Summoner Chromes of Weakness, and a Navigator and a Void Skiff. I'm really interested to see what this army does. I'm guessing Corey knows what the hell he's doing. Over on the Halfling side, also something I don't have a lot of experience with. So a couple of Braves hordes, a Stalwarts horde. So that's a lot of little dudes in big nerve units. A Poacher's regiment, triple Grenadiers, triple Aeronauts, a couple of Harvesters, a couple of Sorcerers, and a couple of Gunnery Sergeants on Trolls. Looks cool, but I don't know enough about Halflings to say for certain whether that's going to work or not. So, Brad, what do you think?
I feel like I'm not well enough prepared to speak on this without knowing the list inside and out. So I'm going to go with Halflings, and I'm basing that only because they have the rule Spell Ward on most of their units, and I'm assuming that's going to be enough without knowing what else they need. I'm going to go with Matt.
Okay. Right.
Brad, tell me who I'm voting for as long as it's not Corey.
Well, great news. I rolled a 6, which means you're agreeing with me on the right side of the screen with Matthew. So you're on Team Halflings, buddy.
So I don't know either of these armies as well as I do, but I think I would like, as a Northeast representative, Corey to lose so that he gains experience, knowledge, and wisdom to develop his army to get better to go into the U.S. Masters. Because right now in the Northeast, he's Mr. 300. He already has 300 points for Masters. So he needs to get thumped a little bit so that he can develop that desire to win and take it to the U.S. Masters where he can win the ultimate prize. So this is going to be like that lull in the movie where the protagonist gets defeated and soundly thumped prior to his eventual rise to win. And the reason why I would say that is because the Grenadiers, which I think always hit on 4+ with the Halflings, ignore like all of the Twilightkin rules where they have phalanx, where they stop, where they cause all those issues. I think that's actually the major problem with this Twilight list. They're just quick enough to hit them first. They're just fast enough to hit them on 4+, and they can cause some issues for Corey's list. So I think those are probably the critical units looking at the Halflings, but that's why.
Justin.
So I too am going to vote for Matthew because Corey needs to learn a lesson, needs to learn how to lose a game. But I will say this, that like Halflings having spell word is cool, but like there's no lightning bolt in the list at all. There's just the 2 weaknesses in the hex, and the hex is kind of irrelevant. But like the Grenadiers with their brutal D3 and the Aeronauts with their blast D3 and wounding on always hitting on 4s or wounding on, I forget which one it is. Like the Impalers don't care, but man, the Mutants are amazing. The Void Walkers have their ensnare, so like those are definitely like Aeronaut targets, but like you definitely need to put more than one Aeronaut into it, or else it just dies on the attack back. But man, like the Mutants are good. The Fleet Warden Regiment's awesome. The Phantoms are better in this list than they are in Night Stalkers, and they're amazing in Night Stalkers.
All
Like,
right.
So I'm voting for Matthew.
Okay. Cool. So that is a clean sweep for Matt, which is interesting because the whole panel knows Corey's going to win, but we've all voted for Matt anyway.
I don't know that.
Well, now I've told you. So like, so this is one of those things, man. Where like, when you're picking first round pairing, sometime a name comes up and you're like, I'm not voting against Corey Reynolds. Of course
It's
not.
It's like voting against Settlemeyer.
It's like voting against Dettelmeyer. Or
Yeah.
voting
I'm
against
too new to know who I
Painter.
should be picking, so to hell with that.
Hey, games with dice, two lists that are either brand new or haven't gotten played a lot, so it's hard to say what they're going to do. This is an interesting match. I would like to watch it just so I can see what the hell these armies actually do. So there we go. Panel says clean sweep from Matt. We'll see what actually happens on Saturday. Table 19, Ed Fisk versus Ryan Hoffman. Ed is bringing Ogres, and Ryan is bringing Northern Alliance. That's 15 drops on the Ogre side. With 23 unit strength versus a very tight 11 drops and 23 unit strength on the Northern Alliance side. Going down Ed's Ogres, he's got a couple of Warrior Regiments, triple Siegebreaker Hordes, a couple of Crocodile Wranglers, a Goblin Slasher with trumpets, a couple of Berserker Bullies, which are great pieces. Triple Warlocks with Lightning Bolt and Nom Nom to round out the battery back there. And then over on the Northern Alliance side, a couple of regiments of Icekin Hunters, a couple of hordes of Ice Elementals, a couple of, three Frostclaw Rider hordes, the Ice Cream, Sarah Kina, Athenon Frostfang, and Hrim, kind of similar to Chuck's list. And then he's got the Frostclaws and the Elementals and Sarah Kina and the Thane and Hrim. So there we go. Who are we on? I think we're on Ray to start this time.
Well, I don't think I've ever actually played Ed. So, Brad, who am I voting for?
There we go. You're going with Ryan Hoffman.
Because my vote was going to be Ed, because Ed's going to be loud, boisterous, and an ogre. But I guess
You
I'm
asked me to
voting
roll.
for Ryan because that's what the dice gods have said.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan's going to win it because Ed is going to be so excited being able to watch Corey Reynolds lose next to him that he's going to forget about the game, and he's going to give up a surged flank using the ice elementals after they shoot first and get surged into their flank by the Sarakia that he's going to lose. So, Ryan, I don't know why I have faith in you. I have faith in you because the dice gods have told me to have faith in you. But enjoy your game against Ed. Ed's a great player. He's a lot of fun to play against by all accounts. I haven't played against him. Ed, you and I have to play at some point in time. But enjoy the game. This is one of the ones I think would be the funnest games as the players at the 6 foot mark having fun.
It is an experience playing Ed. I will say that. It is definitely an experience. Justin, what do you think?
Ed is a great opponent, and that list is absolutely filthy. The Wranglers, I think, when they engage, they're going to do their job, like either double charge or block something up. I think, again, he's got that Lightning Bolt and then the Drain Life when they get close. Like, it's not going to be great against the Ice Elementals or for him, but like, I mean, it still does work. Still winning on 4s, healing stuff back. The Berserker Bullies are good. So like, I think Ed's they're gonna get the pillage scenario, and Ed's just gonna be the turn 5 ogre scatter, and he's gonna claim tokens that no one saw coming.
He does have a lot of scoring individuals. Brad, what do you think?
I'm going with Northern Alliance here. I know the list is similar to the one that I picked against a moment ago, but my reasoning is the ogre list is a pretty high amount of defense 5 minus the siege breakers, of course. So I think the ranged elements actually have things to do on the approach, whereas fighting against dwarves, they're not doing that same volume of work. So I think the shooting here is going to get, I think, a lot of work in, because I think everything minus the Thane has a ranged attack of some sort that mostly all freeze. The Frostclaw Riders don't freeze, but are at least piercing 1 shooting and are far enough away that they're out of charge range while they do it. I just think this shooting is miserable to play against. Even when you start gaining space, Sarakina's Wind Blast can take you back out of it. Frozen can knock you back out of it. I'm going Northern Alliance here. I think they're retaking Omaha Beach effectively, and I think there's just too many guns.
Just a quick question: does Harim have Rampage or Slayer?
Slayer D6 with 10
Oh,
attack space. So it's
he's
10 plus
attack
2d6.
base plus D6 plus a second D6.
Yeah, basically everything not the Crocodile Wranglers.
Yes.
So he could one-shot the Siegebreaker hordes.
Yeah, in theory. I mean, dice-wise, you don't
It's still
expect
on
that,
force,
right?
though.
Yeah, force to hit, twos to wound, even in the front, though, and then bringing brutal. So you expect
And
to get like 7,
8.
8 wounds, and then brutal up to 8 or 9.
So
Uh,
potential.
So
yeah,
potentially.
the big thing, the Siege Breakers don't have any waiver mitigation, so
Mhm.
you can just waiver them and then do it next round.
Yeah. One thing is absolutely certain, and that is every time anything even remotely interesting happens in this game, the whole hall is going to know.
Yeah, that's true.
We will all get the play-by-play for this game in real time from anywhere in the room. All right, so that is going to be a split decision, 2-1 for Ryan on table 19. Coming down to the home stretch, table 20, Brian Munson versus Derek Sandstrom. This is Order of the Green Lady versus Dwarves. Have we already seen one of these? 13 drops and 25 unit strength on the Green Lady side versus 14 drops and 23 unit strength over on the Dwarves side. Checking out this Green Lady list. It's a little different than the others. It's got some Naiad Ensnares, a couple of hordes of Earth Elementals, a couple of troops of Centaur Bray Hunters, an Order of the Brotherhood Regiment with the Pathfinder banner and Meat of Madness, a couple of Redemption regiments, a Forsaken Horde, just the one Pegasus, a Devoted, a Druid, and an Exemplar Redeemer. Kind of a little out of the mold Green Lady list. And Derek is bringing dwarves this time. Is he just bringing a different army to every tournament that this year? Is that just is that what's up? Cool.
Yep.
That's cool. I like it. A couple of regiments of bulwarkers, a couple of sharpshooter troops, and an iron belcher organ gun, double behemoths and Gallic's Fury, Faber Ironheart, and then the Royal Guard formation. So like half of the standard dwarf list that we see, and then some different stuff instead of the Defense 6 infantry wall for something a little different. But Derek is pretty good at this game, so I assume that he knows what he's doing with this. Let's start with Justin.
So I think the organ gun is kind of an interesting inclusion into the dwarf list. I think that would, a tech choice into there. There isn't a ton of shooting here, so like going with the lower defense stuff instead of the defense 6 isn't necessarily the worst, so you get more out of it. But I mean, the Speed 9 Brotherhood regiment's really good with Pathfinder. I don't know. I can't vote against Derek. He's amazing as a player, and
So don't.
Gallic's Fury and 2 Steel Behemoths is like kind of hard to like screw that up as a gun line with an organ gun there too. Like that's just spraying. So yeah, I'm gonna vote for Derek.
All right.
I know Justin mentioned the Speed 9 cab, but would they rather charge line defense 6 or slang with phalanx? I don't know what you'd rather fight against. I'm going with Derek, and I just assume that he's going to walk forward, be defense 6, kind of exist, and do what dwarves do. I also think the unit strength is close enough, right? So no matter what scenario they're on, invade or pillage, I think Derek just has to exist for long enough and can get that done. So I'm going with Derek. Ray is going to also pick Derek. So clean sweep this round.
All right, Ray, why are you picking Derek?
I'm picking Derek because Brian doesn't quite have the punch to break through the Gallic's Fury and 2 Steel Behemoths. You can say Derek's a great player, but you're basically playing a triple Steel Behemoth list, which
That won Masters
is as close to, defense 6 spam as what is possible. So having played that type of list a couple times now, it is a pain in the butt. And the Order of Redemption, he only has the 1 unit with strength, which gets him up to 3. Bane Chant would be 4. They could take out 1 in theory with luck. So he doesn't have the punch to deal with the dwarfs. It's going to be a slow grind for Derek. Derek's going to move up and eventually win, unfortunately.
All right, that is going to be a clean sweep for Derek. We will see if the Order of the Green Lady can win Invade versus Dwarves. Typically, you would expect them to do so, but maybe they'll end up playing Pillage. Who knows? 4 tables left. Let's see what's coming up here towards the end. Table 21. Derek Binkowski versus Marcelo Rocco. Northern Alliance versus Order of the Green Lady. Yep, as we discussed at the beginning, there's a handful of armies that we're going to see a whole lot of, and Dwarves and Order of the Green Lady and Northern Alliance are definitely those armies. So on the Northern Alliance side, we got 14 drops and 27th unit strength versus 13 drops and 21. Over on the Green Lady side, Derek's Northern Alliance list is 4 regiments of pack hunters, double ice elemental horde, a snow troll horde, triple Frostclaw Rider regiments, Snow Fox Regiment for some chaff, Sarakina, Thanon Frostfang, and Rim. I think they all may have taken Rim. And then over on Marcelo's side for Green Lady, I think this is his regular Green Lady list. It doesn't look much different from what he had at Crossroads, I don't think, or Mountaineer. Heartpiercer Regiment, double Redemption Regiments, triple Forsaken Hordes, triple Pegasus, Avatar of the Green Lady, and triple Unicorns with Lightning Bolts. And we are on, I think, Brad to start this time. What do you think?
I'd really like to pick Northern Alliance. I'd like to be a bit of a homer, but I'm going to go with Marcelo here. I think the shooting output from the Northern Alliance list is substantial. I think it has a lot of range attacks. It doesn't have a lot of range attacks that freeze at range, and I think the gunshots that aren't reducing threat range means that the amount of times you get to shoot is, I don't think, going to be often enough to get through the charging alpha strikes that the Green Lady list is putting out. I think if there was a bit more frozen shooting that at range, similar to pack hunter range shooting, I think I might lean back towards Northern Alliance, but I'm going to go with Marcelo here.
All right, great.
Brad?
Oh, yep, my apologies. You are going with Marcelo as well, Ray. Smart choice.
Okay. I was hoping you'd vote for Marcelo because it's a smart choice. 3 triple unicorns will deal with shutting down the Frostclaw Rider Regiment shooting because you're speed 10. You have enough attacks. You have Host Shadow Beast. You can do that. The Order of Forsaken Hordes have the speed 20 to get over the Ice Elemental move plus shooting from their breath attacks. So you can jump over that, get right into them, and the pack hunters are really a non-issue from a Green Lady perspective for this combat. So having played this matchup a couple of times up here in Canada, this is actually a very good matchup for the Green Lady from a movement, speed, and alpha strike capability perspective.
All right, Justin.
So I'm going to start off by saying that this may be the most beautiful table. Round 1, you got Derek's army is absolutely gorgeous for those that haven't seen it, and Marcelo's, we've all seen it. It's a beautiful army. And Marcelo is the smart choice here, but Derek's played against Alpha Strike enough to be able to punish any mistake that Marcelo makes, if he makes a mistake, which he may not. But I think for that alone, that just Derek's kind of a sneaky good player from up in the Northeast. Immigrated from Poland, I think a year ago. So, and a Polish guy won the UK Masters or Clash of Kings. So
Clash of Kings, yeah.
Clash of Kings, yeah. So like I'm gonna vote for Derek just for that reason.
All right. Yeah, that was like 150 person tournament.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Okay. So we started with Brad that time. So start right next time. All right, that is a 2-1 decision for Marcelo on table 21. Moving on to table 22. Coming down to the end here. Just 3 tables left. Dick Williams versus Eric Schaefer. As the Forces of Nature versus, I think, our only Empire of Dust list. 12 drops and 31 unit strength over on the Forces of Nature side versus 14 drops and 25 unit strength on the Empire of Dust side. And Dick's list wins the award for like shortest entry with 2 hordes of Centaur Braced Riders, 7 Scorchwing hordes and 1 regiment, Karis, and a Gladewalker Druid. And that's it. Really, just a couple units to remember the profile of. There, very, very considerate of their opponent there. So 14 drops on Empire Dust is a Skeleton Spearman Regiment, a Skeleton Spearman Horde with Healing Brew, double Mummy Regiments and a troop, double Enslaved Guardian Hordes, double Scavenger Regiments, an Undead Worm, and then all the guys you expect to see in any Empire of Dust list: the Soul Snare, the Monolith, the Idol of Shobek, and Sebek Ray the Accursed. Ray, what do you think?
I hate Scorchwing Hordes when they're spammed like this. So Brad, please roll a die and tell me it's Eric, because I'm going to vote for Eric just because I hate the Scorchwing Hordes. So you might as well tell me that the dice gods have no. I'm voting for the Scorchwings.
Yeah, you're going with Dick Moan here.
Fuck. Sorry. Apologies there. I'm going for Dick because he has 7 Scorchwing Hordes, and he's going to run around at 18 inches and just shoot the Empire of Dust, which aren't able to move.
All right, Justin.
Man, I don't want to vote for 7 Scorching Hordes, so I don't have a dice next to my name, so I'm going to vote for Eric Schaefer. He's going to move up. The Scorching Hordes are going to be ineffectual, like the Mummy Regiments and troops. It's going to regen it all back. You've got heal 10 between Shobek and Sebek. Like, the Monolith can't be disordered by Kara, so if you got to surge something can still get surged every turn. Soul Snare can put in some work because it's stealthy itself. So I think there's a path forward for Eric to win. I don't think it's out of the realm possibility. So I think I'm definitely gonna go with Eric and the Empire Dust.
He's a solid player. He won Pilgrimage this year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Brad.
Like hearing Ray say I'm going for Dick makes me want to go for Dick too. So I gotta go for Dick.
All right. We're just gonna let that one sit for a minute.
I gotta say, what a name.
That's a great Dick Moan. What a great name.
All right. we're just gonna let it sit for a minute. All right. And now we're gonna move on. So that's a 2-1.
Because who would bring 7 hordes of Scorchwings other than Dick?
Who's that Dick? Yeah. So 2-1 decision for Dick there from the panel. Moving on to our next to last table, table 23. This is Elliot Harris versus Will Goodzenas. This is a dwarf versus forces of nature list. Because again, we knew we were going to see a lot of dwarves. We knew we were going to see a lot of forces of nature. We knew we were going to see a lot of Northern Alliance. And here they are, all playing each other, or the Green Lady as well. So 14 drops and 27 unit strength over on the dwarf side, 12 drops and 20 unit strength over on the forces of nature side. The dwarf list is pretty standard for the dwarf lists we've been seeing for Iron Guard regiments with dogs, 2 sharpshooter troops, Galax Fury, a Berserker Lord with wings, which is the variation that Elliot's gone for here, double Dwarf Lord on large beasts, and the Royal Guard formation. Over on the Forces of Nature side, Will's got a couple of Heart Piercer regiments, Hunters of the Wild regiment. He's got triple 4 Shamblers and Hordes. He's got a couple of Great Air Elementals, Glade Walker Druid, Kapoka Hidden Savior, which you always take when you're bringing all the trees, and a Wilt Father and a Tree Herder. So this is the Ent version of the Forces of Nature list. And I think we're around to Justin starting off. So Justin, what do you think?
Well, there's Kapoka here, which is always like you get the scout and everything like that. So if they're playing invade, that gives you a small advantage, especially against dwarves.
Yep.
So Will's going to win the role for first. He's going to get the scout everything up. I mean, Will Father Tree Herder is always good. 2 greater heirs, like in the flank of Iron Guard, that's still terrifying. Yeah, I think Will's got this. And then again, you got the Dwarf Lords and Large Beasts and not the Steel Behemoths to get all that in the phalanx in the fronts of the Force Chamblers and Hunters of the Wild. So yeah, I think Will's gonna pull this one out.
All right, that's a vote for Forces of Nature. Brad, what do you think?
I think a lot of the things the dwarves have to their benefit here between defense 6 to phalanx across the stuff in the formation. I don't think those are at their best playing against this exact list, so I'm going to be going with Will as well. I think the strengths of dwarves are not on full display here against as much crushing is there. And I also think the Berserker Lord with Wings, as cool as that model is, doesn't really have any fantastic targets to go into. I mean, two obvious ones, but easily hidden.
Sure. Right.
Brad, who am I voting for?
Oh, great question. You're going with Will here, right?
Okay, so I'm going with Will because of the Wilt Father Tree Herder combination, which coupled together will make short work of whichever defense 6 target they're going after. My concern being Will would be that the greater air elementals will be targeted by the sharpshooters in Gollux Fury, because that's enough wounds that the heal won't be able to recoup everything on any given turn, and they'll be hit by the Mastiffs at a later point in time and killed. So that's what I have to make sure I watch for. And the way I'm going to avoid having the air elementals targeted is using the Forest Shamblers as my chaff going out there, thick chaff at defense 5 and dash 17, I believe, to cause a bit of a stir and say, here, pay attention to me, while Wilt Father and Tree Herder smash. It's going to be like Hulk smash. Like, we've seen Lord of the Rings. We know what ends do. And that's what they're going to do to the dwarves. Just pretend the dwarves are Urukai.
All right. Moving on to our final table of the event. Table 24 is going to be George O'Connell versus Kai Men. This is an Order of the Green Lady versus Northern Alliance matchup. But George is playing Order of the Green Lady, not Kai. So over on the Green Lady side, it is a tight 11 drops and 18 unit strength to 15 drops and 22 unit strength on the Northern Alliance side. Looking down the Green Lady list on George's side, he has brought 4 Order of the Forsaken Hordes, 3 Beasts of Nature. I think he's the only one that has taken Beasts of Nature, and he's taken the Breath Weapon, the Wings, and the 7 attack upgrades on all 3 of them, as you do. Naiad Stalker with a Gnome Glass Shield and Triple Unicorns. Over on the Northern Alliance side, 5 troops of Pack Hunters, 5 Ice Elemental Hordes, the Ice Queen and Sarakina and a Thane, and 2 Thanes on Frostfang, but no Hrim in this one. I think this might be the only Northern Alliance list without Hrim. So this is the last table for the event, and let's start with Brad.
That's a lot of guns, that Northern Alliance. A lot of guns, a lot of surge potential, and pretty much everything's a decent target across from them. I'm going Northern Alliance. That's a silly amount of guns. The Pack Hunters don't have the vicious aura. They don't have Thunder Fighters on them, do they? No, they didn't
The
pay
Pack
for
Hunters
this.
do not know.
No, they can pay for it, but they didn't pay for this list. Yeah, I'm going with Kai, and I'm just doing it over the weight of gunshots here. I think this could go either way. If the gunshots don't get the work in they need to against the hordes charge ice elementals. I can certainly see George winning it, but I'm going to go with just the list with all of the guns.
All right. Ray.
Brad?
Ray is agreeing with me. He's also rolled for Kai.
So the reason why I'm doing that is because 4 hordes of Forsaken cause about 8 wounds to the ice elementals. So you have to really double charge in order to take out an ice elemental, which means that your lines are going to be right there. It's going to be intermixed. And once you get that intermixing against that number of surge capable forces, the surge force actually has more mobility when it comes to a mess to get the flanks, to get the rear. And Kai's going to take advantage of George at the brutal knife fight range that this will descend to, because as Brad said, Kai has the shooting advantage over 12 inches to force George to want to come close. And once he comes close, I'm not sure George has the punch to break through Kai's list as quickly and efficiently as what he needs to before it descends into an absolute chaos.
All right, Justin.
So I am actually just going to dissent from you two. I think the 3 unicorns and the Naiad Stalker outshoot 5 pack hunters just because it's all piercing and everything on both sides is defense 5. I do think the Ice Queen with the Gnome Glass Shield is a cute option, right? That make him defense 6 and ensnare in the front. I think that's not a terrible pick for a magic item, but the Naiad Stalker with the Gnome Glass Shield, again, it's defense 6 and ensnare, but shoots 18 instead of 12. So
The ice elementals all shoot as well.
yeah, but they only shoot 12 inches.
Yeah, it's short range.
Right, so they're not getting into combat till turn 3. They're not shooting till turn 3.
Sure, but you can screen the front of them with pack hunters, right? They're disposable.
Right, but the pack hunters don't have steady aim. So like if they're moving, they're shooting less efficiently than unicorns are. Right, so George can kind of just spread out and stay back until he picks his, and then put a Forsaken and a Beast of Nature into 3 of the ice elementals and pick up 3 ice elemental hordes, and only have to deal with 2 hopefully, and maybe you shoot one of them off and one of them super damaged, so you trade 1 for 1. I don't know. I
would actually defend the pack hunters and put the ice elementals as my sacrificial units.
I would too if I was Kai. But I think George can put enough shooting pressure on him early that he's.
Can you shoot the warbow and the ice elementals?
You cannot. It's 5 points.
I didn't think so.
He's playing 5 points down. It is what it is, right? 5 points isn't the end of it, but no.
Gives him a range 24 shot.
Well, I guess it gives him one shot on 4s, right? I think it's the warbow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Piercing 1.
Oh, it has piercing too. Wow, that's not bad for a 5-point item. But yeah,
All right.
I still think the Stalker and Unicorns put out more shooting pressure than 5-pack hunters. So I'm going to vote for George.
All right. So that is a split decision, 2 for Kai, 1 for George on our last table. So that is all 24 tables for the event. And we've been doing this for a little over 2 hours, so I'm not going to keep you guys too much longer, but I do have a few wrap-up questions that I like to ask my panelists at the end for fun. So let's get to those. So let's start with, so I'm going to ask you guys what your favorite list is. I'm going to ask each of you, one at a time, each of these. So you got a minute to think. Your favorite list based on whatever criteria you want. Doesn't have to be that it's effective. Doesn't be that you think it's going to take the event. Just your favorite list for whatever reason you want, like a player's choice vote, just based totally on list composition. Best general is who you think is going to take best battle score, possibly best overall, but I don't know what the sports and appearance scores will be like, so I just asked who you think is going to get best general. A dark horse, which is someone that you think is going to perform better than they normally do, or with a list that people kind of don't see coming. Somebody who's taken a step up this event, and then who you think is going to win the Cornwell Cup. So let's start with favorite list, and let's start with Ray.
I think my favorite list is actually the halflings. I don't know them very well. I would like to see how Matthew's halflings, especially against the Twilight, can work. And I think it's neat, and it's not something we see a lot of in the Mid-Atlantic.
All right. Justin.
I'm going to go for Chris Murphy's Basileia. It's not the Alohi spam list. It's got kind of more of a combined arms list to it. A little bit of everything. Julius is still in there because Julius is amazing, but like the Ogre Palace card, I think can put in work, and I really like the tech choices of like the Arbalists and the Sisterhoods. So I like that list a lot.
All right, Brad, favorite list.
I was going to go with halflings, but I'll go with halflings light because Ray stole it, and I'm going to go with Julian Lesage's Rordia list. It has the banner for the aura of Spell Ward, which is as close as you can get for it.
All right. Best general. Let's start with Justin.
Well, because Corey Reynolds was going to lose round 1, Keith Conroy is going to win the event. That nice soccer list, it plays very well. It does the wind blast and thrall things, so you can do some mean things to his opponents on turn 5 and 6.
Seems fair. Brad.
I didn't hype him up, only to not pick him at this point. And I know it was not the most conventional pick. I'm going with Joe Ferry. You have confident Joe Ferry show up in that hall, there's no one stopping him. Doesn't get in his own head, Ain't anyone else is going to. Go with Joe Ferry.
All right. Ray.
Brad, I need a dice roll. 1, 2, 3. Justin. 4, 5, 6. Dale.
But I rolled a 2. I don't know who was who again, but whatever
Justin.
a 2 was.
So Justin's number 1. Dale is number 2. They're gonna be on top table round 5 playing each other.
So that is a vote
Justin
for
Lingle.
Justin Lingle.
His Night Stalkers, and I'm picking him because he's finally given up the forces of nature to play a real army.
All right. Now let's talk about Dark Horse.
I'm saying that with Mike on the cast, running the cast, so I apologize, Mike.
No worries. I'm probably going to change armies after the new book comes out too. So Brad, let's start Dark Horse picks. Who do you think?
I can't help myself here. I don't know if I've ever heard a better dark horse than good old Dick Moan.
Okay.
I didn't see that one coming. I'll tell you that.
Oh. Just gonna let that one sit for a minute, and
I'm not changing my pick.
On to Ray. All right, what do you think, Ray?
I think I'm going to pick. I think I'm going to pick Mike Ireland. He's not really a dark horse. He does really well. I don't think he's won a tournament this year, though, in the past year. Has he?
I don't think so.
No. So I think he's going to be sober for the first day. He's going to do really well, not get completely trashed the second night because he thinks he has a shot, and actually win the tournament.
All right.
That's my dark horse.
All right, Justin.
Also not a super big dark horse, but I think Steve Forster is going to do pretty well here, at least podium. Just he's played Goblins forever. His Goblin list is probably I don't want to say it's the best, but it's definitely the most finely tuned of the Goblin lists. I think the triple wing, they just do so much for scenario play. They're such a pain in the butt to deal with. So I'm going to go with Steve.
All right. This could be Steve's event. We will find out. And lastly, who do we think is going to walk away with the much coveted Cornwell Cup this time? And I'll remind you guys that I'm pretty sure you have to have at least 4 people in your club playing, which might knock some clubs out of contention. Ray, what do you think?
The Aristocrats.
Because I don't think we have enough people.
Mike, and Alex are going to show up Friday night, and between the 3 of them, they're going to recruit somebody. We don't know who the 4th player is, but they're going to come there with a shirt going, "We need a 4th." Because Alex is going to bring out the dice. He's going to bring an extra shirt, and we're going to say, "Somebody come join us." And whoever that is will be the 4th person, and regardless of that 4th person, the Aristocrats will win the Cornwall Cup.
Like a swinger couple going to a bar, throwing that vibe out. We're going to bring in an additional partner
So
for the
Alex,
weekend.
You have to bring extra dice because you have to go there and pick somebody up Friday night.
For one magical weekend in Pennsylvania, you too can be one of the Aristocrats.
You can be an Aristocrat for one weekend.
Justin.
As a guy that was an Aristocrat for one weekend
and we won the cup.
And helped them win the Cornwall Cup, I have to go with the Shambling Horde.
Okay.
I've got the Northeast. Like you've got Corey Reynolds there. Derek's part of that. Like they're probably going to both be in the top 10. I would think they're both amazing players. Steve King is a sneaky, amazing player, and maybe his round 1 matchup's not great, but he might win the next 4 as well. So there might be 3 Shambling Horde peoples in the top 10.
All right. Solid pick.
So
all right,
we're all going to lose the first round, but then they're going to win the last 4.
But then everyone's submarines. The whole club submarines together.
Just a real quick question, only because it popped up here in the chat. Is Dick Moan on a club? Because
I don't know.
Could be an Aristocrat.
He for one magical weekend, you too can be an Aristocrat. If we do well enough, I will buy and send you a shirt. I've done it before. So
Mike, for one weekend, if we could have a Dick.
We're having way too much fun with this. Okay, Brad, tell us what's up for the Cornwall Cup.
But who else am I going to pick? I mentioned Joe Ferry. Someone else mentioned Mike Ireland for me. They're picking the dojo for me. Who else would I pick? Come on. It's not even a question.
All right. And that is going to wrap it up here, I think. I would like to thank Justin and Brad and Ray for hanging out with me this evening and going through the matchups. Thanks so much, guys.
Don't forget Fake Ray.
And of course, Random Ray. You too, for the cost of one 6-sided die, can have Ray Shields randomly deciding matches on your live stream as well. Also, shout out to Dale Motley for helping put this stream together and who got stuck doing work at the last minute and wasn't able to participate. Appreciate the legwork you put into it, Dale. And I'd like to thank Rob and the rest of the Nerdhammer guys for running this event. This is a very large event. There's a lot of people coming. It's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing everybody here in just a couple of days. So, yeah, Nerdhammer GT. Everybody basically is getting up tomorrow and getting their stuff together and going to work and then driving up to PA for a fun weekend in an oddly overpriced hotel that seems like it's in the middle of nowhere with no restaurants around except one Italian place that's next to a gas station. It's quaint and it has its own weird charm. And you go into the hotel bar on Friday night and there's like a retro like band of old dudes playing like old standards from the 50s, and it's got like a weird like Myrtle
Is there
Beach
carpeting on the walls? Or
kind
no,
of
it's not
vibe
that
to
old?
it or something. No, it's like a bunch of old wood panel stuff. Like, it's a good time. It's a good time. I'm looking forward to it. So, thanks again, guys, for coming and helping cover all of the matchups. Thanks to everybody out there watching. I hope everybody travels safely, and we will see you this weekend. Oh, the line dancing. Thank you for reminding me of that part. Yes, there's also always line dancing. So, if you can get somebody in your club to drink enough beers, you might be able to convince them to engage in some line dancing as well. So we will see who gets duped into doing that. So until next time, I'm your host, Mike Atkins, saying you stay safe out there, and we will see you next time on Dash 28 Live. Goodbye, everybody.